He panics trying to salvage the deal. Oh my, that would bankrupt me. Can you take another look at these goods at this price? Aruna simply looks over the items. That seems to be true. Well, that's fine. Watching the master negotiator at work, Diaz thinks to himself with a relieved smile. It looks like it'll be fine to leave it all to Aruna. Meanwhile, a commotion starts nearby, as one of the dog folk approaches a cage full of geese. What's wrong? He asks the birds. How did you guys end up in there? He unlatches the cage, expecting them to be grateful. He was wrong. With a furious squawk, the geese burst from their prison, ready for chaos. A feathery stampede chases the terrified dog folk across the field, right past a bewildered Diaz. The poor guy screams, "Why are you chasing me? Don't poke me." The chaos attracts the attention of Granny Maya. What are all these geese doing running around here? The old woman watches the scene with a knowing look. She explains that geese are a huge blessing, good for food, they mature quickly, live for decades, and act as aggressive watchdogs against thieves and rodents. Diaz inspects the birds, impressed. These geese look fertile and their beaks have a nice luster. The feathers and feet look healthy too. Granny Maya nods, calling them the birds of blessing. While the goose chase was happening, Aruna and Paige and Ray are still locked in their intense negotiation. Diaz walks over and points. I would also like to purchase those geese over there. Aruna and Paige and Ray stare each other down, the battle of wits not yet over. The frogman quickly calculates on his abacus. How about I give you a 20% discount? This would be about the right price for 6 geese. Diaz sighs, realizing this could take a while. It looks like they'll still be negotiating for a while. Sensing an opportunity, Paige and Ray leans in conspiratorially to Aruna. Oh, that's right, madam, I have a few rare commodities in reserve. He brings up a delicate subject. I had heard that you and Diaz had not yet produced an heir. Aruna is taken aback. What? He gestures towards a private wardrobe. I usually only show these items to nobles, but I'll make an exception for you. With a flourish, he presents his secret item. It's a little bit pricey, but it's a really good product. Aruna looks on, completely baffled. He reveals an incredibly skimpy, string-like outfit. What is this? She asks. Paige and Ray proudly calls it a let's get pregnant outfit, promising it will grant her an heir. Aruna's face contorts with rage and embarrassment. Why would wearing this grant me a child? Isn't it just a piece of string? Paige and Ray calmly explains. It's very effective on human aristocrats. He even offers more styles, including some for men, but Aruna has heard enough. No, we don't need it, put it all away. After a long and hard-fought battle of wills, the negotiations finally come to an end. They started with just a few items on the table. But the final haul is massive, including crates, barrels, and the newly acquired geese. Diaz narrates the outcome. Aruna was able to get her discounts, but the amount of items has noticeably increased as well. He scratches his chin, trying to figure out who won. It seems to have ended in a draw. But looking at the smug satisfaction on both Aruna and Paige and Ray's faces, he reconsiders. Aruna used her soul appraisal to get the best deals, and Paige sold more than half his wares. I don't think either of them lost, they both came away better off. Diaz recalls how the negotiation played out, whenever Paige tried to sell inferior goods at inflated prices. Aruna's appraisal ability saw right through him. But instead of calling him out, she would just skillfully ask for a price reduction, allowing him to save face while still making a profit. It was a masterclass in diplomacy. And so, thanks to Aruna's skills, they had acquired a massive stockpile of food, daily necessities, and various handcrafted artworks. Plus 6 geese. And a barrel of alcohol. Diaz was truly impressed, as expected of Aruna. As Paige and Ray's men begin moving the goods to the storehouse, Diaz offers to help. He grabs a crate and starts walking. Aruna decides to pitch in as well. But as a porter opens one of the wardrobes, she stops in her tracks. Whoa, what is that strange clothing? She peers inside, identifying the contents with a look of disdain. A belly-dancing costume, a warrior costume, and a waitress costume. There are men's costumes here too. Male aristocrats are seriously disgraceful, huh? Despite her disapproval, her imagination immediately kicks into overdrive, picturing herself in the revealing outfits. The fantasies continue, each one more embarrassing than the last. She snaps back to reality, horrified at her own thoughts. What am I imagining? We have small children at home. But then she remembers, we also have outfits for gentlemen as well. Her mind conjures up images of muscular men in skimpy leather harnesses. It's too much. Overwhelmed, she throws a crate in frustration, as Paige and Ray watches, thinking he might still be able to make a sale. The merchant may have just scored a mental victory against the unflappable Aruna. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. With their business concluded, the merchant Paige and Ray prepares to depart. That should be all of the merchandise, right? Thanks for everything, he calls out to Diaz. Diaz watches them go, giving a nod of acknowledgement. He then turns to Aruna and notices her face is flushed. What's the matter, Aruna? Your face is bright red. Are you not feeling well? He asks, concerned. Aruna sputters back, what tea? That's not true, nothing is wrong, I'm fine. Before leaving, Paijin has one last question. Well then, Diaz-sama, our business here is finished. Do you have any other requests? Diaz thinks for a moment. About that, I'd like you to bring a lot of products that the dog tribe would want. They have gold and silver coins, so I want them to be able to use them. Paijin understands immediately. Please leave it to me. As he climbs onto his wagon, Paijin turns to Aruna with a sly look. As the wagon begins to roll away, Diaz and Aruna wave goodbye. Madam, Paijin croaks, next time I'll bring a lot more goods, ribbit ribbit. Aruna, still blushing, snaps back, cut it out. Watching the merchants disappear over the horizon, Diaz knows the work is far from over. Paijin's group has left but we'll be busy from here on out, he thinks to himself. We still haven't handled any of the preparations to keep domesticated geese. He begins planning aloud. First, we'll have to build a small coop and draw some water from the river to store in it. Without it, they might not be able to grow up healthy. Suddenly, Diaz hears a commotion in the distance. A group of figures is approaching, led by Granny Maya and the dog folk. Diaz-sama, they call out, their voices filled with excitement. An adorable stampede of muddy dog children rushes towards him, cheering his name. They swarm him, begging for attention. Diaz-sama, we did our best, pet us, praise us. Diaz is happy to see them but also a little confused. But aren't you all covered in mud? Just what have you been up to? Granny Maya approaches, explaining, they were doing some work for the geese. Boy, thank you, she says warmly. You bought such a good flock of geese. With this, we'll have a supply of feathers by winter. She gestures to the muddy children. These dogs helped us with what needed to be done. A chicken coop is too small, so we're using a small hut instead. It turns out the children had been hard at work digging, moving lumber, and preparing the new, larger coop for the geese all on their own. Diaz is genuinely impressed and touched by their initiative. I see, thank you, you really helped us. He turns to the children, patting their heads. You guys also worked hard, thank you. The little ones bark happily in response. Their hard work sparks a realization for Diaz. Speaking of which, I never rewarded them after the battle with Diane. All right, he announces. Let's give everyone a reward to commemorate our recent victory, not just the warriors but everyone who guarded the village. Gather everyone in the square but make sure to take a bath first. Soon the entire village is gathered in the main square. Diaz stands before the tribes of Iluk. In the fight against Diane, the dog folk were of great assistance to us. Thanks for everything, now we're going to reward you all with gold. As Aruna holds a heavy bag of coins, Diaz lays out the terms. For those who went to battle, you will receive 2 pieces. For those who didn't, you will receive 1. A child's share will be given to their parents. The crowd erupts in joyous barks and howls. One by one, the dog folk come forward to receive their reward, their gratitude evident. The children are especially thrilled, celebrating their shiny new treasures. Once the last coin is handed out, Diaz announces, now then, we're finished. But a small voice calls out, excuse me, Diaz-sama. He turns to find a small dog child looking up at him expectantly. What's the matter? The child holds up the gold coin nervously. Is it okay to put a hole in this gold coin? Diaz is taken aback. A hole. Instantly, a chorus of voices erupts from the crowd. Me too, me too. I would also like to put a hole in mine. Kneeling down, Diaz asks gently, why do you want to put a hole in your gold coin? I'm not going to say no. But first I'd like to hear the reason. The child's eyes light up. If I put a hole in it, I can put a string through it and wear it around my neck. The reward that I received from you, Diaz-sama. I want to always carry it close to me. Diaz is stunned. Always? No, that's a gold coin. It's currency. I gave it to you thinking you could use it to buy the things you wanted. The child looks horrified at the suggestion. The sentiment ripples through the crowd as they all begin to wail. I hate it, I'm never letting it go, they cry, clutching their coins protectively. Diaz is at a loss. What should I do about this? Calm down, calm down. He recalls that he's given them coins for labor before. They used it to decorate the insides of their yurts, he remembers. Somehow, this seems a bit different. I remember being happy to spend rewards when I was a soldier. He realizes the problem. This appears to be an important memento to them, a keepsake. I want to let them do as they wish. But I already made a request to Paijin to procure goods for them, he thinks, worried. If they don't use currency as currency, it'll be troublesome. He decides to ask directly. Do you have a special attachment to gold and silver? The child shakes his head. I just think it's pretty and sparkly, but I don't have any particular emotional attachment to it. Diaz presses on, getting to the heart of the matter. Then, do you mean that there's significance in it because you received it from me? The child's tail wags furiously. Yes, that's right, I'm happy you gave me a reward, it's a commemoration of that, Diaz finally understands. An idea forms in his mind. In that case, what if I gave you a different reward? If I gave you a commemorative keepsake, would you then use the gold as currency? The dog child thinks it over for a moment. Then with a determined look he replies, yes, if you give me a reward that's a better keepsake than this. Diaz is now faced with a new challenge. A better keepsake than a gold coin, he muses. And it has to be something that nearly 100 people would consider a better alternative. What kind of keepsake would be a good replacement? Seeing him struggle, Aruna steps in with a suggestion. For example, what about a tusk, fang, or bones from a creature that you caught yourself, Diaz? You could wear a necklace that Diaz made himself as a keepsake. The dog folks' eyes widen with excitement. Yes, that would be absolutely wonderful, they all cheer in unison. Aruna glances at Diaz for confirmation. Taking charge, she addresses the crowd. All right, then let's end today's meeting here. Diaz will personally deliver the necklaces to each and every one of you once they're ready. Later, back in their quarters, Diaz thanks Aruna. Thanks for the suggestion. Thanks to you, we can continue paying them what they've earned for their work. Aruna smiles warmly. Speaking of which, about that commemorative necklace, can I also have one? Diaz is a bit surprised but agrees immediately. Oh, of course, I'll also make one for you. Aruna beams, I see. As Diaz and Aruna are talking, he's suddenly startled by a sound from the doorway. Senai, Ahan, and Amer emerge from their hiding spot. Senai, Ahan, and Amer, Diaz asks, surprised, have you guys been in the assembly hall this whole time? Amer calmly replies, the two of them have been studying with me. Overhearing the conversation about the necklaces, Senai and Ahan get incredibly excited, bouncing on their knees. We also want a necklace too, we want it, we want it. Diaz smirks, ready to drop a little truth bomb. But the creature that Aruna spoke of is the dreaded black Jia, you know. He continues, you two should know it well. Or more like you've often eaten it, right? You want a necklace made of the bones from a creature you've eaten. The realization hits the girls like a ton of bricks. Their excitement instantly vanishes, replaced with disgust. Maybe we don't want it, one says, while the other adds, we don't need it. Diaz grows serious, thinking to himself. But after all, making a necklace out of something like that and calling it a reward might be kind of bad. I don't have any materials that are suitable. Aruna senses his hesitation. What? In that case, isn't it fine as long as you put your heart into making it for them? She elaborates, the dog folk don't want an item of high value. They want something filled with your feelings for them. It's clear from their behavior regarding the gold coins. Put your feelings into it, she advises, carefully carving each and every piece by hand. You can even embed a small jewel to improve its appearance. If you want to use gemstone fragments, we have a huge abundance of them. Diaz still looks unsure, his lack of crafting skill weighing on him. But, will I be able to do a good job of making it? Don't worry, Aruna says with a reassuring smile. Crafting fine details is one of my specialities. If you can't do it well, I can easily teach you so you can quickly improve. Hearing her offer, Diaz's worries seem to melt away. He closes his eyes, a grateful smile on his face. Okay, thanks, Aruna. A thought suddenly strikes him. Actually, I've been wondering for a while now, but am I such an easy-to-read person? Even though I haven't said anything, you were still able to respond as if you could read my thoughts. He looks at her suspiciously. By any chance, did you use the same skill that you used in your negotiations with Pagan on me? Aruna just burst into laughter. Senai and Ahan, who were listening in, can't help but giggle as well. Diaz smiles warmly, a new understanding dawning on him. That's right. He looks out at the sky, realizing, right now, I also understand what everyone is thinking. With newfound resolve, Diaz retreats to his yurt to begin his work. He carefully scrapes and carves a piece of bone, focusing intently on the task. He meticulously threads a cord through the finished piece. Holding up the final product, he inspects his handiwork with satisfaction. It came out better than I thought. The carved fang, embedded with a small gem, hangs proudly from the cord. Just then, the door to his yurt creaks open. Diaz, can I talk to you for a bit? Aruna asks, then notices his work. Chem, did you finally finish making it? She kneels beside him and he presents the necklace to her. How did the final product turn out? She asks, her eyes wide with curiosity. She takes a closer look, her expression one of pleasant surprise. Wearing the necklace, she touches it gently. It came out pretty well, didn't it? The dog folk will be thrilled with this. Diaz, however, is already worried about the logistics. But it took me 3 days just to make one. I wonder how many days it will take me to finish making them for everyone at this rate. Aruna reassures him, with this kind of thing, once you've done it once, the others will be much faster. There's no need to rush. Craft each and every one with care. If you do that, you'll be finished before you know it. Diaz nods, taking her words to heart. I see, that's true, just like you said, I just have to keep working at it. He then remembers why she came. Ah, that's right, speaking of which, you said you had something to talk to me about. What did you need? We're trying to do what we can while you're working, Aruna explains. So, could you teach me how to make a kamadoba? Kamadoba, Diaz repeats, but his mind hilariously misinterprets the word, picturing a terrifying swarm of splashing sickles. Aruna clarifies that she means a stone hearth oven, a stove with several pots lined up side by side. She explains their current problem. Right now, we have stoves in certain yurts, but with this many people it gets a little cramped. There aren't enough tools and ingredients and it's difficult to get in and out. Her eyes light up as she lays out the vision. Amer suggested we build a komodoba, then Klaus could make bread in the oven and we can build a water well and a sink. She smiles, lost in the dream of a new kitchen. And then we'll build a roof to cover the whole thing. If we have a stone hearth oven like that, I think we could cook a larger variety of dishes a lot faster. What do you think? Diaz is completely sold on the idea. Of course, I don't mind. I really want to see what kind of food they can make in a komodoba. He raises his only concern. My only worry is how we're going to get the materials to make a roof for this area. Aruna already has a plan. I think we should ask Camelots about it. We could use the roof from a stable and it should be pretty easy to buy one or two of them. Diaz agrees, planning to write a letter to Grant. But Amer, who has just entered, chimes in. No, it's okay. Canis is returning home soon, so I was planning to send word through her. Diaz looks up from his work. I see. It's already time for her to go back, huh? Amer explains that Canis' job of helping the dog folk settle in is complete. Aruna adds casually, before Canis comes back here, we need to build a bigger yurt for Klaus and make other preparations. Well, Klaus will have to handle most of that himself. Diaz looks utterly confused. As Aruna turns to leave, Diaz stops her. Please wait, Canis is going to come back here again, and also, what's this about Klaus needing a bigger yurt? Aruna turns back, a look of disbelief on her face. It's nothing new, Canis and Klaus are. Diaz's mind goes blank, trying to process what she's implying. Aruna gives him a deadpan stare. Wait, don't tell me you didn't notice that those two have had feelings for each other for quite some time now. The realization finally hits Diaz with the force of a thunderclap. Klaus and Kanis, he yells. How long have they been that close? Aruna just lets out an exhausted sigh. How long? You seriously never noticed? She asks, exasperated. Aren't they always being affectionate and flirting during mealtimes? Diaz racks his brain. Mealtimes. A flashback reveals just how oblivious he's been, happily chowing down while Klaus and Canis were practically feeding each other right next to him. He only ever noticed the delicious food. Aruna shakes her head, honestly. In any case, Canis plans on living here with Klaus, she explains. They're making preparations for their wedding. As she heads for the door, she tells him, well, anyway, you should get the full story from one of them. Diaz is still trying to process the news. I see, those two are in a relationship, he thinks aloud. I'm happy for them, but I'm also really surprised. Then a happy thought occurs to him. Ah, Aruna, how nice. If their relationship is doing so well, won't they be blessed with children soon after? Unbeknownst to them, Amer and another dog folk were listening from outside, gushing over Aruna's new necklace. It's so cool, I hope we also get ours soon. Inside, Aruna smiles, clutching the necklace Diaz made for her, surrounded by the admiring girls and happy dog folk. Meanwhile, in another part of the village, Klaus is having a complete meltdown. This is a problem, what am I going to do? He panics. What should I give her as a wedding gift? This is a credit page for the scanlation group, and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group, and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group, and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group, and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group, and is not part of the story. In his yurt on the vast plains, Diaz is hard at work. He's carefully carving necklaces, rewards for the people of his fief. As he works, he reflects on his progress. My work on these has improved considerably. Just like Aruna said, once you've made one, you learn tricks for the rest. Suddenly, the door to his yurt creaks open. Peeking through the crack are two young girls, Senai and Ahan, looking hesitant. Diaz can practically read their minds. They're trying to convince themselves they don't want a necklace, but he knows better. So they wanted one after all, he thinks with a smile. He calls out to them, don't worry, I'm making some for you too as well. Their faces instantly light up with joy. Overjoyed, the two girls dash off, forgetting all about the door they left wide open. Ah, if you open the door, make sure you close it properly, Diaz calls after them. He gets up with a sigh, but just as he reaches the door, it's thrown open with a bang and a frantic Klaus bursts in, shouting, "Dissama." Diaz calmly tries to de-escalate the situation. What's wrong? Take it easy. But Klaus is in a full-blown panic. I have something important to discuss with you. Do you have time? Klaus's shouting is so loud that even Aruna, who is outside, hears it and wonders what's going on. Inside, Diaz listens to Klaus's problem. So, you're having trouble figuring out what to give Canis' parents as a betrothal gift. Klaus looks to him for guidance. Diaz-sama, you also gave Aruna's parents a gift, didn't you? What kind of item makes a suitable gift? Diaz thinks back on his own experience. In my case, I was in a situation where I didn't have much of a choice. He recalls the massive beast he faced. You could gift them materials from an earth dragon. The memory alone sends a shiver down Klaus's spine. Earth dragon, what kind of reaction did her parents have? Diaz explains they were really excited. Maru said it was worth as much as 30 black gi. Klaus immediately gets the wrong idea, thinking he needs to hunt 30 of the massive beasts himself. Diaz quickly corrects him. Wait, that gift was specific to their culture. You received several gold coins, didn't you? Wouldn't it be better to use that to buy something suitable? Klaus looks down at his hands, conflicted. That money, it doesn't feel like something I've obtained with my own abilities. He clenches his fist, his resolve hardening. More so, I want to give them something that I've obtained with my own strength. Diaz listens, understanding Klaus's pride. Klaus's eyes light up with an idea. Now that we've talked, I know what to give them. I want to give them the yield of a hunt. What do you think? Diaz is a bit concerned. I see, but hunting earth dragons is dangerous, and I don't know if they'd be happy receiving black gi meat. Meanwhile outside, Aimer is watching the girls play. Senna and Ahan are happily running around with the fluffy Mia. Watching them, Aimer gets a brilliant idea. Oh, I've got it, it's Fluffy. Aimer explains the plan. Klaus can hunt black gi, then take them to the Oni village and trade them for high-quality Mia wool. It's a useful and valuable gift. Both Diaz and Klaus realize it's the perfect solution. That makes sense. Diaz fully supports the idea. Camelot's is sure to have high-quality Mia wool. It's still the result of what you gathered yourself, and it's a special product of this region. Your future in-laws will be thrilled. Diaz admits his own hunting methods might not be the best example for a normal human. But Klaus is fired up and ready to go. That's true, it's no simple human feat. I'll have to learn how to fight them by fighting them. Thank you, Diaz-sama. Diaz watches him, a proud smile on his face. 5 days later, life in the settlement continues. Diaz is putting the finishing touches on the necklaces he's been carving. He's pleased with his work. Phew, once I learned the trick I was able to make quick progress. I should be done in only 2 or 3 more days. Just then Aruna and Aimer enter the yurt. Diaz Canis is back. Diaz looks up surprised. Canis is already inside, kneeling respectfully before him. She beams, announcing her good news. I'm back, Diaz-sama. I was able to receive permission from my parents, so I will be residing here from today onwards. I will do my best as a member of Klaus-san's family. Aruna smiles warmly at the happy news. Diaz welcomes her. Yeah, likewise, there's still a lot of work to be done here, but I hope you'll do your best with Klaus. Canis responds with an enthusiastic yes. After the initial greetings, a brief, awkward silence falls. Aruna gives Canis a pointed look. Aimer reminds her, didn't you have something to report? Canis snaps back to attention. Oh, that's right, I have something to report. She begins, first of all, about Eldon-sama and Camelot-sama. They're headed to the royal capital, so they'll be absent for a while. My father is currently acting as the feudal lord. Canis continues, because of this, the craftsmen and materials will be delayed, and for the wedding, only my mother will be able to attend. She explains the new plan. She and Klaus will travel to her home for a banquet held by her father. As she speaks, Diaz pieces everything together. Their trip, the wedding, it all hinges on Klaus's black gi hunt. Suddenly, a crucial detail clicks in his mind. Canis finishes her report, but Diaz interrupts her. I feel like I'm forgetting something important. Got it, he says, finally realizing the problem. Then, when do you plan on heading over there? Canis grins brightly. Right, I'm hoping to leave immediately. Diaz and Aruna exchange a worried glance. The happy grin fades from Canis's face as she senses the mood shift. Ah, don't tell me, Klaus-san is currently elsewhere on an assignment. Diaz explains the situation. Something like that, day after day, Klaus has been out hunting black gi, but in the last 5 days he's only managed to get 2 of them. He continues, if he used matabi powder it would be simple, but Klaus insisted on hunting them on his own and declined. Diaz adds, a group of female mastiffs also offered to help, but he turned them down too. He's determined to obtain his betrothal gift on his own, no matter what. Diaz describes how Klaus is running around the vast grasslands all alone. While catching 2 black gi without help or getting hurt is impressive, it's simply not enough. Canis listens, her expression a mixture of fondness and utter exasperation. What could he possibly be doing? I'm happy that he wants to get a personal gift, but... Her frustration boils over. He should have accepted the help that was offered to him, she exclaims, starting to slap her own arm in a strange practice routine. Diaz looks on, a bit bewildered by her intensity. Listen, Canis, what are you doing? Canis fiercely continues, slapping her own arm. Of course, I'm practicing a technique for foolish husbands, so I can smack his cheeks with my own hands and make him see reason. Her expression softens, a mix of frustration and affection in her eyes. Though honestly, I'm also flattered, but he doesn't understand how grief-stricken I would be if he goes out there recklessly and gets himself killed. Aruna watches, a spark of recognition in her eyes. My mother told me that for people like that you do this. She also used it on my father. With a newfound resolve, Candice turns and leaves. She storms out of the yurt, on a mission to find her stubborn fiancé. She bows slightly to Diaz and Aruna before heading out. Diaz and Aruna watch her go, left alone in the doorway. Back inside, Diaz is startled to see Aruna suddenly practicing the same slapping motions. He looks at her completely confused. "What's gotten into you, Aruna?" She looks dead serious. "Nothing, but if something were to happen, I want to practice the techniques I've heard so I can fulfill my duties as a wife." A sweat drop rolls down Diaz's face as he nervously pleads, "Ah well, I'm begging you to hold back." Aruna glances at him, her expression unreadable. "I never said I would actually use it." Standing outside, Diaz looks up at her and says with complete sincerity, "If you were to ever slap me, I would know you were justified in doing so." Hearing his earnest words, a faint blush creeps across Aruna's cheeks. They share a warm, quiet moment together, their bond clear for all to see. Suddenly, the moment is broken as Aruna remembers something. "Which reminds me, Diaz, did you prepare a gift for Klaus and Candice to congratulate them?" Diaz's confident smile is plastered on his face. "The girls are preparing a lavish feast in celebration, so I was thinking we should prepare a celebratory gift for them, but..." His confident expression completely melts away into a look of pure panic. He tries to play it cool, stammering, "It's fine, I'll have something prepared before the ceremony." But internally, he's freaking out. "I still haven't figured out exactly what to give them." His mind flashes to a terrifying vision. Aruna, channeling the ancestral rage of wives everywhere, unleashing a flurry of slaps. The thought echoes in his head, "This is bad, if I don't prepare a really good gift it's not going to be pretty." And so, after Candice's forceful appeal, Klaus finally stopped being so stubborn and accepted help. With the cooperation of the dog folk, the use of matabi powder to lure the beasts, and even Candice lending her archery skills, the hunt went incredibly well. In just 3 days, they had gathered more than enough black ghee. Things were finally looking up for the happy couple. With their betrothal gifts secured, they loaded up a wagon. Soon, they were on their way to greet Candice's parents. Diaz and Aruna stood together, waving them off on their journey. As he waved, Diaz's mind was racing. He was definitely not daydreaming, but desperately trying to come up with a gift idea. He knew he should have learned his lesson from Klaus's stubbornness, but now he only had 3 days until they returned for a huge celebratory banquet. Time was running out. Normally he'd ask Aruna for advice, but he'd already told her everything was fine. He was on his own. With no other options, Diaz sought out the one person whose wisdom he could rely on, the Oni folk chief Moru, who was honestly surprised to see him. Diaz sat before her respectfully. "There was no one else. Besides, you've given me lots of advice in the past, so you're the first person I thought of." He recalled all the times she'd helped, from farming advice and trade discussions to strategies for battle and distributing spoils of war. Maru listened, a slight smile on her face. "I see, you continue to exceed my expectations, you know." "Well then, I will offer you what advice I can." Diaz was flooded with relief. "You're a lifesaver, Maru." Maru considered his problem. "You need a wedding gift in a short amount of time, right? Then, what about a nice bedsheet set made of superior me wool? It's always nice to have extra bedsheets, especially for the two of them soon." She added, "It will be good considering their status as a soon-to-be newlywed couple." Diaz, ever so dense, just replied, "Is that so?" Maru gave him a long, suggestive stare, letting the implication hang in the air. Suddenly the gears in Diaz's head started turning. Bedsheets, newlyweds, using it at night. The realization finally hit him. So that's what you're talking about. It's true, Klaus is a late bloomer, so something like that would probably be good, huh? Maru chuckled. "Honestly, with how reserved you and Aruna are, I'm not surprised it took you a moment. Which reminds me, when is Aruna going to be holding a baby in her arms? But setting that aside, a bed set is a good gift." "I have a bed set with some embroidery to bless the couple with a child, why don't you take it?" Maru offered. Diaz gratefully accepted. "Thanks, Maru." Diaz left Maru's yurt with a perfect gift. He admired the stylish pillow that came with the set. "This is for you," he said, placing it with the rest of the gifts for Klaus and Candice. As he was loading his cart, Maru stopped him one last time. "What's that?" Diaz asked, looking at the small pouch she handed him. "Medicinal herbs to help with pregnancy," she said plainly. Diaz quickly replied, "I don't need it though." Several days passed. Craftsmen and materials arrived from the royal capital, and for 3 days they worked on building new stoves and kitchen structures. With an excess of workers, they even built a proper toilet and a small hut for the geese, completing all the projects. To thank them, Diaz compensated them for the materials and gave each man 10 gold pieces. He was nervous about the price, but it seemed to be a fair payment. The new structure stood proudly under the sun. The settlement was truly starting to look like a proper village. And then, the day after the craftsmen left for the capital, a familiar voice called out, "Diaz-sama, we've returned." In the distance, Klaus and Candice's party approached. They returned with a wagon piled high with luggage, waving cheerfully. "Diaz, Aruna, and the others gathered to welcome them home. But on their journey, they hadn't been alone. They had picked up a few travelers along the way, sharing their campfire and food. One of them, a woman, sipped tea gratefully. "Thank you, young'un, not only did you bring me along, you even offered me tea." Klaus smiled warmly. "Our foster parents are just those kinds of people, you know, they just can't leave an elder to fend for themselves." The woman nodded. "Besides, everyone shares the same goal." The scene briefly shows someone shearing a mia, a common sight in these lands. The woman looked toward the horizon with a hopeful expression. "I just want to meet him quickly, you know. My father, that is." And as she speaks, the image reveals a man who is the spitting image of Dias. This is a credit page for the scanlation group and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group and is not part of the story. This is a credit page for the scanlation group and is not part of the story. Inside their yurt, Dias nervously adjusts his formal robes. "How does it look, Aruna? Is it weird?" he asks. Aruna smiles warmly. "It's fine, it looks good on you, Dias. Bend down a bit." As Dias leans down, Aruna makes a final adjustment, ensuring he looks perfect for the ceremony. The doors to the village square creak open. A bell rings out, calling everyone to gather for the momentous occasion. Today is a special day in Ilk village. It's the wedding of Klaus and Cannies. Dias steps forward, ready to fulfill his duty. "I've been assigned as the MC," he narrates. He looks out at the gathered crowd, a sense of responsibility on his face. He explains today's event is based on the customs of the kingdom, but since Klaus requested the inclusion of dog folk traditions, and Cannies requested Oni folk traditions be included as well, it became an Ilk village original ceremony. In the crowd, Cannies' mother, Martel, watches on with the other villagers. Dias clears his throat, gathering everyone's attention. He begins his speech, addressing the happy couple. "We cannot live alone. That's why people created the concept of family and learned to love somebody besides themselves." His voice resonates with confidence. A blessing from Saint Dia is indispensable at a wedding. The ceremony held today is to celebrate these two who are about to start a new journey by building a new family. I can recite every word perfectly. His words carry the weight of experience. He recalls his past. "Once on the battlefield, I used to give a speech to mourn the dead. When I witnessed somebody giving birth, I gave a speech praising the gift of life. When a couple got together, I recited a blessing." He remembers the faces of his comrades, including a younger Klaus, listening to his words. It seems that Klaus remembered all of that, Dias thinks. "Please give us your blessing in our own ceremony as well," he had asked, and that's how Dias took the job. Standing before the village, he continues, "The teachings from Saint Dia are not complicated." He looks at Klaus and Cannies. "Love others, love yourself, and enjoy life. Don't hurt others, don't steal, and don't enter other people's territory. You should not discriminate based on people's birthplace and customs. Do not persecute others." Dias concludes the thought with sincerity. These are very obvious things that people tend to forget, but they're very important. He recounts the history of the saint. Saint Dia is said to have always stood by the founding king's side, helping him achieve greatness. After the nation was founded, he left behind many teachings. However, without ever having a companion or having a child, he passed away. The entire village listens intently, gathered in a large circle. Dias raises his voice, building to a crescendo. "Therefore, everyone who is gathered here today." The children, Senai and Ahan, look on with nervous excitement. Dias's voice booms across the square. "Must eat, sing, dance, and celebrate for the happiness of these two. Congratulations on your new beginning." The crowd erupts in cheers, Aruna and the girls celebrating wildly. Klaus and Cannies beam, overjoyed by the village's support. With the ceremony concluded, the dog folk bring out platters of delicious roasted meat. Dias announces, "Well, the food is ready. First, let's all enjoy this luxurious food." The villagers waste no time, digging into the magnificent feast. Even the Mia get to enjoy the celebration. Everyone from Amer to Granny Maya partakes in the joyous meal. Dias sits with his family, Aruna, Senai and Ahan, surrounded by a bounty of food. The newlyweds, Klaus and Cannies, share a happy moment at their table. Dias ponders his options before taking a bite of bread. "Which should I go with? Oh, this bread has a lot of walnuts in it." He glances over and immediately understands. "I see, Sena and Ahan made it." The girls proudly announce, "This walnut bread is good." Their faces are alight with pride at his praise. They excitedly bounce around him and Dias playfully scolds them. "Hey, mind your manners." His words cause the girls to freeze mid-bounce, a look of surprise on their faces as Aruna watches with a gentle smile. But Dias's stern expression quickly melts away. He can't stay mad, placing a gentle hand on one of their heads. The moment turns into a heartwarming family scene, with Dias and Aruna smiling as the girls sit happily in their laps. Senai and Ahan are beaming with joy. The celebration continues for the happy couple. After the meal, Diaz signals that it's time for the next event. All right, Murph, Cedrio chef, it's almost time, let's start. Without warning, the dog folk rush forward and toss Klaus high into the air. This is a traditional celebration, ritual of the dog folk. Cannies explains that they carry the groom around the village to celebrate him, letting everyone know he's a married man and helping to prevent any future cheating. One of the dog folk thinks to himself, everyone in the village is already here so it doesn't seem necessary. But a ritual is a ritual, I guess. After being tossed, Klaus lands on the ground, only to be swarmed by a mob of dog folk children. The pups charge forward excitedly. They playfully pile on top of him and Klaus shouts, "Whoa." It's explained that the ones doing the beating are the single dog folk. It's a way for them to drown their jealousy and also to announce that they're still looking for a partner. Klaus takes it all in stride, bursting into laughter. He playfully pushes back, shouting, "Hey you've done it now." The chaotic ritual ends in a wholesome group hug, with everyone celebrating the happy groom. Diaz and the others watch the scene unfold with warm smiles. Klaus closes his eyes, a look of pure contentment on his face. And beside him, his new wife Cannies smiles, filled with happiness for their new beginning. With everyone's attention on him, Klaus makes a heartfelt vow. "Everyone, thank you for celebrating this new beginning with us. I promise that Cannies and I will form a happy family filled with love in this village." Cannies, beaming with joy, adds her own promise. I also will work hard, I promise Klaus-san and I will find happiness." The villagers erupt in applause, their faces full of warmth and support for the new couple. Even the stoic members of the dog folk can't help but smile at the touching display. Klaus and Cannies share a loving gaze, their promises sealing their bond in front of their new family. The entire village is swept up in the joyous atmosphere. As music fills the air, the real celebration begins. Senai and Ahan clap along to the rhythm, their eyes sparkling with delight. Soon they join in with their own song, their voices adding to the festive chorus. The dog folk take to the dance floor, their moves full of energy and cheer. Diaz watches from the side, a gentle smile on his face as he takes in the scene. The party is in full swing, a beautiful chaos of music, dancing, and laughter. Suddenly, Diaz feels a hand on his shoulder. It's Aruna, a playful smile on her face. "Diaz, you come too, here." Diaz is taken aback. Me too, I'm not good at dancing," but Aruna just laughs. "Don't worry, I'm not expecting anything to begin with." She pulls him gently towards the dancers. "The Oni tribe doesn't have this type of custom, but I learned from Maya and the rest last time." With a soft, determined look she says, "So we might as well come with me." Diaz, though clumsy and awkward, lets Aruna lead him in a dance. Nearby, Klaus and Cannies are also sharing a dance, lost in their own world. The newlyweds move together gracefully, a perfect picture of happiness. As they sway to the music, Aruna rests her head on Diaz's shoulder, a quiet, intimate moment that makes him freeze in surprise. As the hours pass, the lively celebration slowly winds down. The dancing and feasting are over, and a peaceful quiet settles over the village square. With Senai and Ahan fast asleep on Aruna's lap, Diaz notes, "It's getting late." But the night isn't over yet. Diaz slips away for a moment and returns carrying a heavy wooden box. He gets everyone's attention. "Everyone, I'm going to distribute the necklaces as a reward for your hard work in war, so everyone gather up." The villagers' ears perk up, their eyes wide with excitement. A crowd immediately forms around him. Calm down, Diaz says with a laugh. "There's enough for everyone, so get in line." He explains, "I actually wanted to hand them out as soon as I finished them, but everyone seemed so busy. Klaus suggested I hand them out on the day of the ceremony." One by one, the dog folk receive their hand-carved necklaces, overjoyed by the gesture. "Diaz-sama gave this to me." Senai and Ahan admire their new treasures, their faces glowing with happiness. Granny Maya holds up her necklace, a look of quiet appreciation on her face. Even the Mia are given their own special tokens. Aimer the poet is ecstatic. "Wah, even one for me, thank you very much." Diaz then approaches the bride. Cannies asks, surprised, "Are you giving one to me as well?" Diaz smiles warmly. "I want you to take it as a memento of becoming a member of this fiefdom." Not to be outdone, Senai and Ahan present their own gift. "We also prepared something, congratulations." Cannies thanks them, touched by their kindness. Other gifts pour in. A poem from Aimer, a valuable horn fragment from the Mia, and beautiful stones gathered by the dog folk. Klaus gratefully accepts the gifts. "Thank you everyone. Oh, is this a rock salt, how rare." Diaz overhears him. "Rock salt," he thinks, "could that be found around here?" The mention of gifts reminds him. "Whoa, I also need to give them my gift." He approaches the newlyweds as they look over their presents. "Klaus, Cannies, please accept this from me," Diaz says, presenting a large, beautifully embroidered bedsheet set. Klaus's eyes widen. "Is this a bedsheet? Thank you very much, Diaz-sama." Cannies adds her thanks, equally impressed. Cannies' mother, Martel, chimes in. "I see you in a new light, Diaz." "Well done, Diaz boy, even you have some sense," she teases, explaining. An embroidered bed sheet carries the meaning of praying for a safe birth and a blessing for children. Flustered by the implication, Diaz quickly offers, I will carry it to your yurt. He quickly drops off the gift inside their new home and makes a swift exit. Seeing her chance, Granny Maya claps her hands. Okay, dismissed, let's leave the rest for the young. The other elders agree, and just like that, they begin shooing everyone away from the newlyweds. Diaz can only watch in disbelief. Just because of the discussion about bedsheets, they didn't have to call things off before sunset. And just like that, the ceremony comes to an abrupt and awkward end for Klaus. And an even more flustered Cannies who whispers, it ended much earlier than planned. Diaz sighs even though the event MC is supposed to be me, but Aruna is already putting him to work. Hey Diaz, you help out too. While the village celebrates in blissful ignorance. Deep in the mountains, a dark presence stirs within a hidden cave. A group of rugged bandits kneels before their leader. Hugas-sama, we got some leads from that village. Their leader listens intently as they report, it seems the village is somewhere in the Netros grasslands. We found a wagon that has some rich people who bought a ton of stuff from the Jujin. If they are heading to the village and we follow them, we might be able to reach it, the scout explains. If we are wrong, we can just attack that wagon. A cruel glint appears in the leader's eye. That's right, the strong have the right to dominate the weak. He rises from his stone throne, his voice booming through the cave. This Hugas-sama is gonna overtake you. As the villain's maniacal laughter echoes, the scene cuts back to an oblivious Diaz, unaware of the fearsome enemy now closing in on his home. This is a credit page for the scanlation team. This is a credit page for the scanlation team. This is a credit page for the scanlation team. This is a credit page for the scanlation team. This is a credit page for the scanlation team. A lone wagon makes its way across a vast, empty plain. Inside, the travelers are lost. Are you sure it is here? There's nothing but fields, one says. The other insists, but it's supposed to be west of Kazdex, so this should be the right way. Unseen in the tall grass, a small dog pops up on high alert. Who's there? A visitor, he thinks, ready for a fight. If they're bandits, I'll bite them, so they better leave. The travelers remain completely unaware that they're being watched. From another hiding spot, a large, fluffy creature also observes the approaching wagon. In the distance, the yurts of a small settlement finally come into view. As summer begins, life in Lord Diaz's new fiefdom has settled into a peaceful rhythm. Inside a yurt, Diaz is shearing wool while the massive Mia, Francis, sleeps soundly nearby. His mate Francois peeks into the yurt. Diaz narrates, Francois is expecting a baby by fall, so she spends most of her days resting inside. It's not that she's feeling unwell, she just feels like taking it easy. Francis is completely devoted. He runs to the meadow, finds the softest grass, chews it up for her and brings it back. It's not a normal Mia custom, but it's his own way of showing he cares. With the due date getting closer, I've been spending all my free time by her side after my chores and training are done. Suddenly a voice calls out urgently, Diaz-sama, Diaz-sama. Diaz looks up, startled from his work. The small dog bursts into the yurt, practically bouncing with excitement. We have visitors. It seems they are not bandits, and they are bringing a lot of Mia with them. He continues his report, yes, there are a total of 6 Mia, they look very close to each other. Francois seems to understand and Diaz replies, I got it, I will let them know. With his message delivered, the dog zips back outside. Francois lets out a gentle bleat, communicating something to Aruna. Aruna turns to Diaz and translates. Francois is saying, let's go greet our visitors, let's go Diaz. As they head out, Aruna relays more of Francois's thoughts. She's saying, any human that is on good terms with Mia should be fine. To be honest, I agree. And if they are bringing Mia with them, the Lord should greet them himself. They step out into the open field under the bright summer sky. In the distance, they can just make out the newcomers. Oh, you can see them now, Aruna says, shielding her eyes from the sun. Her eyes suddenly widen in recognition. Asa and Eli, Diaz turns to her surprised, do you know them? The wagon rumbles closer as 2 figures jump off. Diaz watches stunned as they begin sprinting towards him. A young woman and a young man run across the field, shouting with pure joy, Dad, brother. Diaz is completely taken aback. Aruna, on the other hand, is absolutely floored, Dad. Diaz warmly embraces the 2 youths. You 2 have gotten so big, I'm glad to see you are doing well. What about the others? Eli beams, they are all doing great, some started their own business, others got married. But the reunion isn't over yet. Another far more dramatic voice rings out across the plains, Father RRRRR. Diaz spots a flamboyant figure in a dress rushing towards them. Ooh, Eric is here too, glad to see you're doing okay. Eric, who now prefers to be called Ellie, corrects him mid-sprint, please call me Ellie. In his excitement, Eric trips and falls but is immediately swarmed by the gentle Mia who nudge him worriedly. Oh dear, thank you all, I'm fine. Diaz thinks to himself, Francois's judgment was asserted, the 3 of them are very kind children. Eric's appearance concerns me a little though. His thoughts are cut short as he notices another person getting off the wagon. He can't believe his eyes. Uncle Ben, you are alive, I was sure you were dead. The old man scoffs loudly. Don't just kill me off, you fool, even after growing up you haven't changed, you are still an idiot. Aruna, meanwhile, is still trying to process the first shock. She turns to Diaz, her expression a mix of confusion and suspicion. This uncle person concerns me too, but more importantly, what is with the dad thing? Her mind is racing. I didn't know you had kids this big. Since when? What about the mother? Asa, overhearing, turns to Aruna and asks innocently, is she your daughter, Dad? But Aruna cuts in, puffing out her chest with pride. I'm Diaz's wife. Asa is shocked. For real? But no matter how I look at you, you're younger than me. That's illegal in the kingdom. Aruna stands her ground. I'm an Oni folk, I don't care about your kingdom's laws. Realizing her mistake, Asa quickly bows her head. I'm sorry, it was rude of me, I meant no offense. Aruna, seeing her genuine apology, softens. I apologize too, it was rude of me as well, I'm sorry. Diaz smiles, about to finally clear up the confusion. Aruna, these kids are. But before he can finish, a wave of dark energy pulses through the air, cutting him off. Aruna's instincts kick in instantly. She whirls around, weapon at the ready, and shouts, who's there? Diaz's expression hardens as he senses the threat. The wind shifts, carrying with it a palpable sense of danger. Over the hill, a horde of bandits appears. One of them mutters, we were downwind from her, but she sensed us, she is good. Their leader, a hulking man in a metal mask, steps forward. I'm Huggis, you disappoint me, carrying so much wealth and not sharing with others. He continues his villainous monologue, the strong have the right to dominate the weak. You guys should surrender to me, I've killed countless people and I'm tired of it, so let me give you a proposal. But as he speaks, his audience seems to shimmer and fade away into thin air. Huggis blinks, utterly confused. What? They disappeared, where did they go? Hidden from view, Eli explains, they can't see us, I used my concealing magic. Aruna is impressed. Asa quickly provides intel on their enemy. It seems we were followed. Huggis, I've heard that name before. He used to be a knight of the kingdom, but he got betrayed and became a bandit. Plus, he has some wretched ideas. Out on the field, Huggis and his men search frantically for their vanished targets. Aruna watches him, a clever plan forming in her mind. She turns to Diaz and whispers, Diaz, I have an idea. Huggis's men are getting nervous. Huggis-sama, we cannot find them, should we withdraw? But Huggis shouts into the empty field, it's hard to be a weak coward, not to worry. If you hand over your valuables, I guarantee your lives. A powerful voice cuts through the air, Huggis. Diaz steps out from the invisibility spell, his shirt gone, revealing his powerful physique. I'm the lord of this land, Diaz, I challenge you to a one-on-one duel. Huggis stares, a flicker of recognition in his eye. You said Diaz. His men gasp in terror. What is the hero of the kingdom doing here? From the safety of the spell, Aruna coaches him. It's going well, just repeat after me. Diaz gives a quick nod. Oh, okay. Diaz projects his voice, laying out the terms. If you defeat me, then I shall obey you, but if I win, you must surrender to me. Let's decide who is the strongest, fair and square. One of the bandits tries to warn his boss, Huggis-sama, it's a trap. Diaz presses his advantage, taunting the prideful bandit leader. What's wrong, Huggis? Just throw away that sword and come at me, or are you afraid of me? The taunt hits its mark perfectly. Huggis tosses his sword to the ground with a clang. Very well, I don't need this sword, I'll show you who's stronger. The duel is on. Watching from the sidelines, Aruna smirks. I knew he would fall for it, he's a bad guy but he isn't a liar, he's just simple-minded, or stupid. Asa, however, is hyped, yelling, let's do it, diss. Taking the bait, Huggis lunges forward, throwing a wild barrage of punches. Take this and this and this and this. But Diaz stands his ground, his arms a blur as he effortlessly parries every single blow. Huggis can only watch in disbelief, as his fists are swatted away like flies. With a final, decisive move, Diaz blocks the assault, his expression completely unfazed. He easily catches both of Huggis's massive fists, bringing the bandits' rampage to a dead stop. One of Huggis's men watches in terror. Hero Diaz, why are you in a remote area like this, playing as a lord when you're this strong? Diaz looks Huggis dead in the eye. Huggis, you're wrong. Humans cannot live alone, even the strong ones. It's because we have friends and family that we can continue living. The power of the strong is meant to protect and provide for everyone. Aruna watches her husband, a faint blush on her cheeks, completely captivated by his words. Diaz's grip tightens, his voice booming with conviction. That's WHY-YOOUSHOULD. He unleashes a devastating flurry of blows, each one hammering into Huggis's helmet with incredible speed and power. The sound of metal crunching echoes across the field as the relentless assault continues. Diaz puts all of his strength into the beatdown, determined to teach the bandit a lesson. Work hard, he roars, landing one final crushing punch. The helmet shatters under the force of the blow, and Huggis lets out a cry of pain. His men are stunned. Hugasama, this is true strength. Panic sets in among the bandits. We should run, we are no match for him. Asa is ecstatic. That's awesome, they're running away, man I got the chills for a moment but that's expected from Dad, Aruna proudly adds, as expected from my husband. Asa turns to Aruna, a warm smile on her face. The two women share a look of mutual respect and understanding. Aruna smiles back, we are all Diaz's family, let's all get along for his sake. Asa quickly agrees, you are right. Curious, Aruna then asks, by the way, where is your mother, I would like to greet her. Asa's expression softens. We don't have a mother, we are all orphans. In an orphanage you'd normally call the foster parent teacher, but as a way to show affection we call him Dad. Aruna's heart goes out to them, finally understanding their deep bond with Diaz. I see, so that's what it was. Asa looks out at the field. But wasn't that too dangerous? What would have happened if Dad lost? She adds confidently. If that were to happen I would have dealt with them. Aruna just smiles knowingly. Well, she says, looking at Diaz's imposing figure, if it's a strength competition, there is no way Diaz would ever lose. Eli begins to explain Diaz's past to her. Brother was always loved by everyone. Even though he is an orphan himself, he worked hard and lived his life to the fullest, so he was admired by everyone around him. Soon, all the orphans gathered under him. He brought those orphans together and built a sort of guild where everyone lived by helping each other. He became the leader and taught us, who lived by eating garbage, to read, to write, and the importance of honest work. Aruna is surprised. Reading and writing, I didn't know Diaz was good at studying. Eli smiles fondly at the memory. Thanks to brother, the number of orphans misbehaving decreased and the people in town started trusting us. They started entrusting us with better jobs, we were able to become decent people. We started to look up to him as a leader, as a brother, and as a father. We became a family connected by a very special bond. The group settles down, and Aruna gives Uncle Ben a friendly pat on the back. The Mia graze peacefully nearby. Eli points to the old priest. I call that person Uncle Ben. He is my father's brother and used to work in the temple. He taught me a lot when I was young, but he suddenly disappeared one day and my parents told me he died. To think he's still alive. The younger kids, Senai and Ahan, peek out from a yurt. Hey, what kind of people were Diaz's mom and dad? Did they look like him? Diaz scratches his chin, trying to remember. No, they didn't look like me. I think they were calm and very kind people. I think they said they lived in the temple just doing chores. Uncle Ben sighs in exasperation. He cuts in, you should explain to the kids properly. Your parents were the first and second chief priests of the East Great Temple, one of the 5 great temples. The revelation sends a shockwave through the group. Asa, Eli, and Eric all gasp, T-Temple chief priests. Aruna turns to Diaz, confused. Diaz, what kind of place is that temple? Diaz looks flustered. How should I put it? Uncle Ben gestures for him to go on. Diaz launches into a long-winded explanation. To make a long story short, a long time ago, Saint Dia received knowledge and sacred tools from God. Aruna immediately deadpans, long. He continues his history lesson about the temples being built and the priests spreading the teachings, much to Aruna's boredom. As Diaz drones on about the mysteries of the teachings, Senai and Ahan have already fallen fast asleep. Aruna looks completely drained. Is it over? Diaz replies, it seems. Uncle Ben decides to summarize. The great temples were built in the capital and the 4 cardinal directions, and this idiot's parents were the chief priests of the East Great Temple. Eli's eyes widen in realization. Hold on a second, the Great Temple, isn't that the home base of those scum? Diaz nods grimly. Scum, I wouldn't be surprised if you call them that. The priests nowadays have fallen to the bottom of the barrel. Based on my uncle's story, there were internal disputes for years within the temple, way before I was born. He explains that the priests split into 2 factions, the ancient school who wanted to preserve the original teachings and the modern school who twisted them for their own gain. My parents and Uncle Ben were part of the ancient school, but gradually the modern school overpowered them and the true teachings were lost. Uncle Ben continues the story, explaining he left on a pilgrimage to the holy ground to seek a solution to the conflict, leaving Diaz's parents in charge. And when I came back, he says with a heavy heart, my brother and sister-in-law's house was gone and the entire ancient school faction had vanished. Thanks to the modern school, the temple is already rotten. He turns to Diaz. I finally tracked you down, only to find the son of the chief priest on the battlefield. Do you know how I felt when I heard you were out there killing people? That's why I thought I would at least punch this idiot. His expression softens as he looks around. But after seeing you living a decent life, you even have a wife, I will overlook it. The sights I saw coming here weren't bad either. The sheep kids, long-eared kids, dog kids, they're your family, aren't they? A sense of peace settles over him. If that's the case, that idiot couple should be able to rest in peace. Diaz looks at his uncle, a quiet understanding passing between them. Uncle Ben turns to Aruna. And you, With this idiot as a husband, I'm sure he'll cause you a lot of trouble, but please take care of him. I'm counting on you. Aruna beams. As his wife, it will be a pleasure, uncle-in-law. You can just call me uncle. Suddenly, a loud interruption shatters the tender moment. Eric explodes, pointing an accusatory finger. WAH. What are you doing pretending to be his wife? His wife is me. It was decided more than 20 years ago that he would marry me. Everyone stares, completely baffled. Eli tries to intervene. Hold on, Eric, what are you talking about? Eric snaps back, call me Ellie. Ellie turns to Diaz. Didn't you tell me that time, that when I grow up you would buy me a ring? Diaz is completely lost. That time, are you talking about your birthday present? Eli facepalms. I do remember saying that since I didn't have any money, when we grew up I would buy you whatever ring you liked, but... Ellie strikes a dramatic pose. That's a proposal. Eli can only mutter, what the hell? Uncle Ben whispers to Diaz, that's a man, right? He was more normal when he was young. Diaz sweats, yeah. Aruna chimes in with her unique insight. That person's soul has a woman's soul shape, so he probably has a woman's heart. Diaz considers this. I see, soul and heart, huh? Meanwhile, Asa is already bonding with the village children. Hey dad, your wife is cute, but these kids are cute too. Are they our new sisters? Ellie, being completely ignored, fumes in the background. Don't you dare ignore me, STOOPPIT. And so, Diaz's former family officially joins the community. A status report shows the fiefdom's population has grown to 105 people, and the defeated bandits are now hard at work in the fields, under orders from the strong Diaz. A month has passed since the battle with Diane. In the royal capital, things seem to have returned to a fragile peace. Inside a grand office, Eldon reviews official documents, a thoughtful expression on his face. He's analyzing the political landscape. Prince Richard is focused on post-war reconstruction, while his rival, Prince Meza, is suspiciously obsessed with raising funds. Eldon knows they must remain vigilant. As for Diane, she's shown zero remorse for her actions. Locked away, she rages against her confinement, but the decision has been made. She's being relocated to a remote temple far from the capital. Later, Eldon taps his fingers on a table, deep in conversation. An older nobleman explains his political move. Between my reputation and my relationship with Diaz, I had no choice. I've officially expressed my support for Prince Richard. Eldon nods. There were no other realistic options. The nobleman continues. I heard Prince Richard was against exempting you from taxes, Eldon. He's only being tolerant because you're supporting him. It seems he has more talent than we initially thought. Eldon considers this. No way, if it's him, I'm pretty sure he'll be able to handle Prince Meza. The nobleman leans in, lowering his voice to a whisper. Speaking of Prince Meza, the intelligence corps suspect he might have ties with the Empire. There's no proof yet, but the probability is high. Eldon smiles reassuringly. Understood, tell them to be careful, we don't want them getting hurt. Understood, the nobleman replies, clapping his hands in agreement. Their clandestine meeting concludes. Meanwhile, far from the capital's political games, life in Ilk village continues to grow and evolve. It's been 5 days since Asa and the others arrived, bringing a touch of the kingdom with them. Asa claps her hands in delight, seeing Aruna, Senai, and Ahan in fancy dresses. Oh my, you all look so cute. I knew dresses from the kingdom would look good on you. The girls, however, are less than thrilled. Aruna finds her dress dazzling but impractical. It's hard to work with, she complains, while Senai and Ahan agree, it's hard to move. Everyone is finding their own way to enjoy life in the village. Diaz watches over them as he works, a gentle smile on his face. He thinks to himself, they were all having fun in their own way here, but the most unexpected development was. The camera pans to Eric, who is surprisingly getting along with the girls. Eric, despite his muscular frame, laments, my shoulders are so wide, dresses don't look good on me, you all are so beautiful, I envy you. And just like that, an unlikely friendship blossomed between Eric and Aruna. Though it didn't start that way. At first, Eric dramatically declared, father's bride is me, I haven't acknowledged someone like you. Aruna, however, remained calm and understanding. Diaz is a very important person to you, I understand that feeling very well. Eric pointed accusingly, you think you're suitable to be father's wife at your age, you're too young. But Aruna's resolve was firm. I know I'm still inexperienced, but my feelings for Diaz are deeper than anyone else's. I will spend my lifetime proving it. Eric was completely thrown off by her composure. Why don't you get angry? You could just say something back. Aruna simply smiled. I'm also a woman, I understand your feelings, there's no way I can blame you. Stunned by her kindness, Eric's anger deflated, replaced by disbelief. You, why? The dam broke and Eric burst into tears. Why are you so kind? Aruna comforted him. We are Daya's family, let's work together and support him. And just like that, Eric opened up to Aruna and they became close friends, even helping each other with chores. Out in the fields, Diaz is hard at work. Suddenly, Eli calls out to him, brother. Diaz turns, what happened, Eli? Eli looks down, a bit hesitant. We are thinking about going back to town soon. We saw how well you're doing and we were able to give you our presents. Diaz pauses his work. Oh, I see, I got it. Remember to say hi to the others. He then places a gentle hand on Eli's head. You have your own home and job to go back to. It's the normal thing to do. No parent would stop their child when they start to stand on their own. Eli looks up, surprised. I thought you were going to try to stop us. Diaz's expression is firm but proud. You are an adult now. If you threw away your responsibilities to stay here, I'd beat you up without holding back. Eli smiles, touched by his words. Diaz continues, his voice full of fatherly affection. No matter how old you guys are, I will always be your father. I'll scold you if needed, so prepare yourself. Yes, as expected from my brother, Eli says, his heart full. It's a quiet, heartfelt moment between them. Unseen, Eric watches from behind a yurt. Diaz's thoughts turn serious, but I cannot answer Eric's feelings. In order to continue being your father. Not only to Eric but to everyone else as well. If I were to answer my child's feelings, I would no longer be their father. That's why it's something I cannot and will not do. Hearing this, Eric begins to sob quietly. Suddenly, Eric runs out, throwing their arms around Diaz in a tearful embrace. Fatherrrrrrr, Eric wails, letting out all their pent-up emotions. Diaz comforts them, thinking, Aruna told me there are people in the Oni folk just like Eric who were able to find a special someone and live happily. I hope Eric can find that person someday, and if anything happens, I'll be there for you. Aruna, lying in the grass nearby, watches the scene with a slightly annoyed expression. Asa walks over, drawn by the noise. What's going on? Senai points. It's just Eric. Seeing Eric getting pats, the twins get jealous. Me too, me too. Diaz laughs, overwhelmed by affection. Hey, no pushing, everyone take turns. Just then, Uncle Ben arrives with his flock of sheep. What's going on? Everyone's so lively, he asks. Were you saying goodbye? You guys are leaving tomorrow, right? The news hits Senai and Ahan hard. Everyone is leaving, they ask, their eyes welling up with tears. Uncle Ben comforts them. Don't cry, we will meet again. Aruna adds, and the Mia and I are staying. There's nothing to be sad about. Eric looks at Uncle Ben, surprised. So you're not going back to the temple, is that all right? Uncle Ben laughs heartily. I've decided to spend the rest of my life taking care of sheep here. I won't go back to the temple. My old life is behind me. Eric strikes a pose, a brilliant smile on their face. I'm staying here too. I gave my store away so I have nothing left. Besides, this village needs someone with my communication skills. From now on, I'll be in charge of negotiations. The twins cheer. Ellie is also staying. Yes, the village family is getting bigger. Diaz looks on, a warm feeling spreading through his chest. Asa simply smiles, my. It seems the village is about to become even more lively. But they weren't the only new arrivals. There were others. 6 new Mia, and their story was a harrowing one. They explained to Diaz how they were kidnapped, imprisoned, and nearly executed for sport by nobles from the kingdom. Hearing rumors of a hero living with Mia, they planned a daring escape and after many hardships, finally made it to Ilk village. Diaz saw no reason to reject them, but their arrival presented a unique problem. Who was going to be the head of the herd? Diaz hadn't realized it, but the chief of Ilk's original herd has always been Francis. And the new group of Mia also had their own chief. A decision had to be made. The Mia have their own sacred rules for this, and they wouldn't give them up easily. The entire village gathers to witness the ceremony. Diaz watches with a concerned look. What actually concerns me, he thinks, is the way they do it. The two potential chiefs, Francis and the newcomer, face off. They greet each other by touching noses, a moment of calm before the storm. Then the contest begins. They both let out a powerful bleat, their voices echoing as they begin their songs of leadership. The entire village and both herds gather in the public square to witness the ancient ritual. As Diaz watches intently, the two Mia pour their hearts into their songs. It's a passionate display, a battle of wills expressed through melody. Diaz explains the unique way the Mia choose their leader. The way they do it, he narrates, is by singing. He continues, it's like trying to convey something brave, something strong, that kind of song. Each song has its own message. They sing of how they'll lead the herd from now on. All of their feelings are conveyed in the song. The new chief sings with conviction, his voice carrying his vision for the future. They're letting the entire herd know how serious they are and what they truly think about the herd's future. Diaz clarifies, the selection process isn't based on how well they sing, but on the strength of their feelings, their principles as a chief, and what the others can perceive from the song. They'll choose who is more fitted as chief based on that. He lays out the final rule. Then, after choosing a new chief, they will take his side and sing his song in chorus. The one who gets more supporters at the end becomes the new chief. Asa turns to Diaz, confused. Why doesn't Francois support Francis from the very beginning? I think she should take his side, she's his wife. Diaz thinks to himself that being a good husband and being a good leader are two completely different things. Uncle Ben adds his wisdom, that sheep is going to have a child soon, right? For the sake of that child and for her husband who is giving his all, they must choose the most suitable leader. The sheep understand this very well. The two contenders continue their powerful duet, neither one backing down. Their songs are a testament to their dedication and strength. The rest of the herd listens, weighing the future in their hearts. Diaz watches with Aruna, nodding in agreement. That's true, he says gravely. This is something that will affect the future. You can't just favor your family. The sun begins to set over the mountains, casting long shadows across the village. But the singing duel rages on, a constant melody against the fading light. Their battle lasted for a long time. As the sun disappeared, their voices grew hoarse and their volume lowered from fatigue. But they never stopped singing. Both Francis and the newcomer are sweating, pushing past their limits for the sake of the herd. Francois and the others still haven't made their choice, listening intently to the weakening cries. Suddenly, in the middle of the battle, the first one makes a move. It's one of the Mia from the newcomer's own herd. He walks over to stand behind Francis. The newcomer looks on in surprise as his own follower defects. Then another one follows, choosing Francis. And then one more, shifting the balance of power. Seeing this, Francois finally makes her decision and starts moving too. She walks over to her husband's side, ready to lend her voice to his. The chorus on Francis's side begins to swell, growing louder and more powerful. The tide of the battle has turned. Aruna realizes Francois's strategy. It seems she waited until the very end on purpose. If she'd taken her husband's side from the beginning, it wouldn't look good for Francis. There's no overturning this result, Aruna concludes. It is settled. But the old chief refuses to accept defeat. He lets out one last, desperate cry, pouring every ounce of his remaining strength into his song. Diaz watches, his respect growing. No, he hasn't given up yet, even if he is alone and even if his voice were to disappear. The old chief's eyes are wide with determination. He pushes with all his might. But his voice has given out. He stands there, mouth open, completely silent. The other Mia watch him, some with tears in their eyes, moved by his fighting spirit. His defeat is clear, but his honor is intact. The old chief pants, exhausted and defeated. He takes a moment, catching his breath. And then he closes his eyes in acceptance. In a stunning display of sportsmanship, the old chief turns to face his rival. Diaz narrates in awe. He stopped his own song and sided with Francis. Aruna cries out. Everyone is singing in chorus with Francis's song. Senai and Ahan look on, their eyes wide with excitement. That means the entire herd now sings as one, a powerful, unified chorus led by their new chief, Francis. The villagers erupt in celebration. Asa shouts with joy, Francis is the new chief. The children run into the field, cheering for the victor. Senai and Ahan are ecstatic. Amazing, amazing, Aruna proudly cheers, he did it, Francis. The village kids are in awe of the Mia's tradition. The Mia are really smart, I've never seen anything like it. But amidst the cheering, Aruna notices something. She looks around, her expression turning to one of concern. The celebration continues, but one Mia is missing. The herd sings on unaware. The Mia with the thick eyebrows is gone, Aruna says quietly. Later that night, the defeated chief stands alone outside a yurt, separated from the herd. He looks out at the quiet village, contemplating his loss. He turns and begins to walk away into the darkness. A solitary figure under the starry sky. But he's not alone for long. Diaz approaches him from behind. That was really impressive, he says. Fighting until the end without giving up, recognizing your opponent and joining him, it was very refreshing. Not everyone can do that. Diaz truly respects the Mia's spirit. I really like his attitude. He's not angry at those who didn't choose him, he's just regretting that he wasn't experienced enough. He then says, now that I think of it, I haven't given you a name yet. What about a Sim or Tanmas? The Mia shakes his head, clearly unimpressed. Diaz smiles, you don't like it, huh? Then how does Ethelbald sound? Diaz suggests, I think it sounds good. The Mia's ears perk up. He lets out a happy bleat, finally accepting his new name. Diaz kneels and pets the newly named Ethelbald. As I thought, a cool name fits you better. There, from today onwards you are Ethelbald. Asa watches, smiling. Oh, he liked it. From a distance Eric sighs fondly, that's why I like father, Aruna can only agree. Ah, that's true. With the matter of the new Mia leader settled, the village erupts into a celebratory feast. The Mia bleat happily, joining in the festivities under the starry night sky. As the party goes on, Diaz quietly returns from the edge of the camp. Asa is the first to spot him running over. Dad, where were you? Diaz casually replies, oh, I just went to the toilet. Aruna and Eric share a knowing, teasing smile. My, did you wash your hands? Diaz just gives them a gentle, weary smile in return. Later, as the main feast winds down, a smaller party gathers around the campfire to celebrate Francis's victory. The villagers and the Mia herd circle the warm blaze, a picture of peace. Diaz sits with Aruna watching the scene. He thinks to himself, While everyone was smiling and having fun, I decided to name the rest of the Mia. To my surprise, all the Mia were female, and all of them were Ethelbald's wives. Aruna chimes in, they are girls so you should choose a cute name. Asa nods in agreement, ah, that's true. Dias continues his narration, the wives requested names related to Ethelbald, so that's how I named them. Ethlila, Ethemi, Ethafana, Ethig, and Ethladia. They were very pleased. The newly named Mia graze peacefully, content with their new chief and new names. Dias watches them, a weight lifting from his shoulders. Apparently my worries were unnecessary, it's like they have a big heart or they are very noble. I was worried that there was going to be a quarrel because all the wives chose Francis as the chief. And Francis who won over Ethelbald, I wonder if that means he has an even bigger heart. I'm curious what kind of feelings were conveyed in Francis's song. And so the total number of Mia and Ilk village increased to 8, with Francis proudly leading the herd. Meanwhile, far away in the bustling city of Fanatxt, within the ornate walls of the feudal lord's residence, Lord Eldon, having just returned from the capital, makes his way through the halls. He's on his way to meet a certain man, the heavy doors creaking open before him. In the center of a vast pillared room, a single man sits waiting. As Eldon approaches, the man rises with a wide, confident grin. He strikes a pose, his voice booming through the chamber. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lord Eldon. I am Juha. I'm the #1 soldier of this kingdom, the most handsome guy in this kingdom, a man of culture, and... He leans in, a glint in his eye, Dias's war buddy. Eldon looks on, unimpressed. This is the man who made such bold claims. He recalls the reports. This vulgar man, Juha, had been captured after being found penniless, having caused a ruckus drinking and eating all night on someone else's dime. Normally, Eldon wouldn't waste his time on such a person, but during the interrogation, Juha had made a very specific demand. I would like to have an audience with the lord of this land, he declared, claiming to be an unsung hero and Dias's right-hand man. The mention of Dias's name was enough. Intrigued, Eldon had surprisingly agreed to the meeting, just in case. Juha breaks the silence, stroking his chin. Aha, let me guess. This cleft chin bothers you, right? No, that's not possible. All the ladies say it's manly. Eldon sighs, no, I don't care. Eldon gets straight to the point. Sir Juha, who are you? Is the story about you fighting alongside Dias during the war true? Juha grins. Ah, yeah, it's true. If you don't believe me, you should ask that stupid Dias about it, Juha says. Well, we had multiple quarrels on how to handle women and alcohol, so he won't say nice things about me. That's right, just tell him this. You say if you want to embrace a woman during war, you should get married first, but your military regulations are the worst in history. If you tell him that, he'll know. Eldon considers this. Let's say your story is true, then Sir Juha, what is your purpose here? It seems to me you purposely dined and dashed just so you could be captured and bring up Dias's name. Juha claps his hands. Oh, you are good. Unlike that idiot, this conversation will go much faster. Actually, I was planning on visiting him, but after staying in this city, I changed my mind. There is good food, good wine, and everywhere you look, women and children are smiling. He gestures towards the window overlooking the city, especially that thing in the middle of the city. What you built, was it a park? I made up my mind because of that. Culture blossoms from playing, Juha says with surprising sincerity. As a man of culture, I cannot overlook the value of that park. That is why I thought I could be of use to this land's lord. But I didn't think you'd take me seriously if I just came to you, so I had to rely on some drastic measures. He smirks, it wasn't a bad move, huh? It got me a meeting with you. Eldon remains skeptical. You could have just said you wanted to serve us or that you were acquainted with Dias. Considering you could have been prosecuted without ever meeting me, frankly, I think it was not a good move. Juha just laughs. Well, you know most lords wouldn't meet a guy like me in person, but maybe that's why you're the kind of person who would come up with the idea of the park. Juha sits on the floor, arms outstretched. So what do you think? What price would you put on me? That damn Dias was awful, saying stuff like in order to finish the war I'd hire me for free. But you are different, right? Eldon crosses his arms, thinking for a long moment. Finally, he makes his decision. He hires Juha for an exceptional price but with one very important condition. The position is temporary. Back in Ilk village, Eric watches the laundry dry in the breeze, lost in thought. Eli and Asa left Ilk village 7 days ago. The letter I sent to the guild, with my ideas, should have arrived already. I heard from father that the bloodless will be coming soon. They're beastmen who have lost their powers for an unknown reason. The plan is to lend them carriages for trading, which isn't a bad idea, but I'm worried about them trying to do business in a restrictive, discriminatory kingdom. That's why I thought about building a Fanatxt branch in the guild. His plan is simple but brilliant. If it's within the non-discriminatory Fanatxt kingdom, they'd be able to do business without problems. From there, the guild could act as permanent intermediaries with the other kingdoms. It's a win-win. This will be profitable for the guild as well, Eric thinks confidently. I'm sure they will start moving fast. Just then he sees Aruna approaching from across the field. He calls out to her, "What happened, Aruna? Is that a goose egg?" Aruna smiles, holding up her basket. "Ah, today's eggs did not contain a soul, so we will have them for dinner. I always mix them into a soup, but I heard boiling them is yummy as well, so I thought I'd try it." Eric is struck by a realization. Now that I think about it, Aruna can see the souls in these eggs with her magic powers, huh? With that same magic, she was able to see my woman's soul. Using that, she can identify which unhatched eggs don't contain a soul. By accurately sorting them, she increases both our food supply and the number of chicks that hatch. Oh, I'm so envious. He asks, "How are the eggs doing? You know, the ones that contain a soul?" Aruna's face lights up. "Ah, they're doing well. 2 chicks hatched this morning." Back in the village, Eric spots Diaz in a field with Sanai and Ahan gleefully chasing a flock of goslings. Eric looks on, completely baffled. "Father, what are you doing?" From the kitchen, Aruna smiles fondly at the scene. "He's just playing after finishing his work, so I'm fine with it," she explains. "Besides, taking care of the kids is also a father's job. Just working all day is bad for the body and heart." This gives Eric an idea. He turns to Aruna, his curiosity piqued. "Speaking of values, I've been curious about your idea of manliness. You're a hard worker, Aruna. Would a hard-working woman like you also be considered manly?" Aruna considers this. "Normally, no, I'd just be called a hard worker or a fine woman, but I was different from the others, so there were times when I was called manly." Eric's eyes light up, practically vibrating with excitement. My, I'm curious. Aruna, you have to tell me a story. Tell me. Aruna seems hesitant, replying, "It's not a very interesting story." She explains that because her family was very poor, she, as the eldest daughter, had to take on jobs women normally wouldn't, like hunting and patrolling. "So," she concludes, "they used to jokingly call me manly." But she adds with a warm smile, "But well, thanks to those jobs I got to meet Diaz, so I can't complain." Eric melts at the sweet sentiment. Getting serious again, Eric gently asks, "By the way, is it all right for me to ask why your family was poor?" Aruna nods, her expression calm. "I don't mind, it's in the past anyways. The reason my family was poor is, actually, we have a good-for-nothing family member." Eric immediately understands. The problem wasn't circumstance, it was a person. She clarifies, "My father was a normal man with normal manliness. But my brother was awful." The mood darkens instantly. Even the words "good-for-nothing" are not enough to describe how horrible he was. Eric can feel the cold anger in her voice. In a flashback, Aruna explains that her brother had a high-paying job on an expedition team, but he wasted all his money on women, even stealing their family's savings and driving them into debt. While his little sister was starving at home, he was just fooling around with a straight face. He was out of hand. Eric is visibly horrified by the story. Eric thinks to himself that it was a good thing he asked. It's better to let these things out instead of keeping them bottled up. Aruna shakes off the dark memories. "Well, that's enough about that guy. Right now, thanks to Diaz, my family has gained a lot of wealth and they don't have to worry about starving anymore." She then adds, "Diaz and Maru also helped me a lot. I can't thank them enough." Eric is confused. "Maru, it's the first time I've heard that name." "Maru is the name of the Oni folk village chief," Aruna explains. "She really took care of me. She was actually the one who got me and Diaz together. Maybe she felt sorry for me." She gazes out thoughtfully. "Now that I think about it, giving Diaz 2 precious Mia to look after, it might have been for my sake instead of Diaz's." Hearing her story, Eric looks at Aruna in a completely new light. And in that moment he has a profound realization. Aruna, who stole my position as father's bride, the reason why I cannot come to hate her might be because of her situation. It was very similar to ours when we were orphans. He says it out loud, "I'm sure that for you, father is like the prince on a white horse who came to rescue you." Aruna looks puzzled by the phrase. Eric explains, "It means that suddenly your destined person appeared." Aruna seems to understand. As a grand, sparkly fantasy of Diaz rescuing Princess Aruna plays out, Aruna smiles. "That sounds nice. It sounds very manly." Eric puffs his chest out with pride. "Of course, we are talking about father." Eric clasps his hands, overwhelmed with emotion. After hearing her story and connecting with her, he knows there's no way he could ever hate her. The tender moment is shattered when Aruna suddenly remembers her task. "My bad, I got completely absorbed in our conversation. I forgot to boil the eggs." Eric immediately snaps into action. You don't know how to boil an egg, Aruna. Give it to me, I'll show you." As he takes over, he reaffirms his commitment. "I already said it, but I will stay here to help father and Aruna. I decided that." With the eggs finally cooking, their work is done for now. Eric sits down, finding himself with some free time as dinner preparations are complete. His attention is drawn to Aruna, who is walking out into an open field, bow in hand. She turns and calls out a warning, "I'm going to start shooting practice now, so everyone who's close by, please move away." She knocks an arrow, her grip firm as she draws the bowstring. Her target, a simple wooden post set up in the distance. The arrow flies true, slamming into the post with a thunderous crack that echoes across the field. Eric watches deeply impressed, and every day without fail she practices her bow. How admirable. The arrow is buried deep in the wood, a testament to the incredible power behind the shot. Eric is left stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief. He can't resist, he walks over to her calling out, "Hey, hey, Aruna. That bow is a short bow, right?" he asks. They excel in quick shooting, but compared to longbows they have shorter range and less penetration. Why is your bow so powerful? Aruna smiles knowingly. That's probably because of the materials and the way it's made. She holds it out for him to inspect. Our bows and the kingdom's bows are completely different. Eric examines the intricate construction. Oh, what is this? They wrap bones and horns around thin wood, so you use different materials for each part. Aruna is impressed. That's right, I'm amazed you figured that out. She explains the complex design. Soft animal tendons are used on the side that stretches, while hard materials like horn or bone are glued to the side that shrinks, all reinforced to create a composite bow. Also, she adds, we change the materials and shape to fit the user's strength and physique, so each bow is unique. We use bows while horse riding a lot, so this is the result of a lot of trial and error, she finishes, offering it to him. Want to check it out? Let me see, Eric says, taking the bow with confidence. But as he tries to draw the string, he strains with every muscle in his body and can't even budge it. Wow, what is this? It is so stiff I can't draw it. Aruna chuckles lightly. That's normal, I guess. The only one who was able to draw this bow was Dayaz. Then she reveals the secret. For this bow, earth dragon materials were used, so when drawing it you need to use magic. Eric's jaw drops. Earth dragon, you are talking about the highest rank monster. Not only is its skin and shell extremely hard but also its muscle and tendons. Aruna explains the technique. By transferring a certain amount of magic into the bow, the super hard materials become temporarily soft and flexible. You use magic to draw and relax the magic when you release, causing the bow to snap back with immense power. The complexity of the technique blows Eric's mind. Isn't that too hard? Which means that while she's hunting on horseback, she uses magic every time she shoots. Dayaz said the same thing, Aruna admits. It is true that you need to practice, but it's not hard once you get used to it. Well, those kids are special, she says, thinking of Senai and Ahan. I've seen them train a few times. They started hunting on horseback, and after just 5 days they were able to shoot a flying bird. She describes their insane skills, like using wind to control an arrow's path or arcing shots into the sky to hit prey from above. Eric thinks to himself that their technique is downright terrifying. It's true they have a special talent, Aruna concedes with a smile, but using a bow while horseback riding is something that even Oni folk children can do, so I'm not lying when I say it's not really hard. Aruna turns to Eric. Ellie, do you want to try it too? But he quickly declines. Nah, I'll try my best while using my wit and my words, he declares, having no desire to attempt the impossible. Suddenly a loud, unfamiliar voice roars from the distance. Aruna, where are you? Aruna's face instantly twists into a scowl of pure annoyance. He came back alive. It would have been better if he was eaten by some beast and dropped dead. A muscular, horned man charges towards them, pointing an accusatory finger at Dayaz's home. You, evil lord, how dare you take Aruna when her brother is not here? I will save you. The rumored good-for-nothing brother has arrived. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. This is a credit page, and not part of the story. Dayaz thinks to himself, trying to understand the situation with Aruna's family. What in the world is Aruna's brother after? He recalls the traditions of the Oni tribe. The youngest son, the one with the brightest future, inherits everything, while the older siblings marry into other families to strengthen their own. He remembers how Aruna never liked talking about her family, but it never really bothered him. During the engagement, I met her parents and younger siblings. I always thought it was just an 18-person family, but... His thoughts are interrupted by the setting sun. It's getting late. Dayaz cups his hands around his mouth and calls out to the kids. Senaihan, it's almost dinner time, so come back to the yurt. From the distance, the two girls shout back, okay. Suddenly, a small dog comes tearing across the field, barking frantically. DVSSAMA, it's urgent. The panicked dog finally reaches him, gasping for breath. A weird horned guy appeared out of nowhere, and Aruna-sama attacked him. Dayaz is completely baffled by the news. He and Eric rush towards the commotion, where a small crowd has gathered. Eric looks on in shock, calling out a name, Ellie. As they get closer, Eric asks, Father, what's happening here? Dayaz finally sees it. Aruna is on top of a beat-up man, pinning him to the ground. Who is this guy? He wonders. The man on the ground pleads, Aruna, listen to me. Uncle Ben recognizes him, thinking, that's Aruna's big brother. It seems they don't get along very well. The man, Zorg, manages to get to his feet, a determined look on his face. He suddenly appeared. I came to rescue you, Aruna. He dramatically points a finger at Dayaz, his voice booming. Damn you, evil lord, how dare you use our family's poverty to force Aruna to marry you. Aruna just watches him, her expression dripping with annoyance. Zorg spreads his arms wide, declaring, but rest assured, I will protect you. Hearing her brother insult her husband was the last straw. With a furious cry, Aruna launches herself at Zorg, punching him back to the ground. And don't you dare insult my husband, you are the cause of our family's poverty. Diaz watches the chaos, completely blindsided. I see, but I'm surprised Aruna has a big brother. Eric turns to him, confused. Huh, you didn't know, I thought you'd heard about their circumstances. Diaz shakes his head. Nope, I had no idea. As Aruna continues to pummel her brother, Diaz pieces it together. I didn't see him at the wedding and Aruna never said anything about him. Eric realizes why. Oh my, maybe she thought if the disgrace of the family was known, her marriage would be cancelled. Zorg shields his face, desperately crying out, I beg you, Aruna, please listen to me. Diaz decides to step in. Aruna, he is begging you, how about listening to what he has to say? He tries a different approach, his voice softening. Also, if this continues, Senai and Ahan will see you. His words hit their mark. Aruna freezes as she sees the two little girls watching, their faces filled with fear. What's going on, Aruna? You're scary, they whisper. Diaz watches Aruna's reaction, thinking, using their names, maybe that wasn't fair. He walks towards the sobbing Zorg. With a firm grip, Diaz grabs Zorg by his long braided hair. Aruna looks on, tears welling in her eyes, a mix of anger and shame on her face. Diaz holds Zorg up, looking unimpressed. Zorg, still on the ground, points an accusing finger at Diaz. You, all because of you, the quiet and sweet Aruna became this violent woman. I will never forgive you, you are the evil lord. Diaz is dumbfounded. Huh, quiet and sweet, he yanks on Zorg's hair, get up. He gives Zorg a swift kick to get him moving. Diaz finally gets a good look at him, realizing the family resemblance. So this is Aruna's brother Zorg, the eldest son. If Aruna were a guy, she'd look just like him. He reflects on their relationship, but they're on really bad terms. Zorg clearly cares about Aruna, but she hates him from the bottom of her heart. The reason is simple, he has no manliness, and since he's the reason her family became poor, it's understandable. Aruna was strict with me at first too, Diaz recalls, but after I showed some manliness, her attitude completely changed. That might have been because of her brother. Diaz, Aruna and Eric stand together watching the disgraced Zorg. So that Zorg came all the way here to defeat the evil Lord Me and take Aruna back. He pieces together Zorg's side of the story. After returning from a long journey, he found his sister gone, taken by some lord from the kingdom. When Zorg heard that, he went crazy, thinking we'd sold Aruna for money. He believed the clever Aruna would never accept this marriage and must have been deceived. After that, he wouldn't listen to anyone and just flew all the way here. Diaz glances at the result of that brilliant plan. But this is how it turned out. He acted thinking of Aruna, so he never imagined she'd be the one to yell at him. That's why he was so desperately begging her to listen. The whole situation is a mess. If Aruna just explains everything to him, the misunderstanding should be cleared up, but Zorg just sits there, arms crossed, fuming impatiently. Diaz observes him. He's completely quiet. I wonder what's wrong. Eric leans in with a sly look. Don't tell me, Eric whispers. Are you jealous of father? Zorg snaps back immediately. Don't be stupid. How could I be jealous of my sister's partner? Zorg's anger fades into melancholy. I just can't believe that Aruna fell in love with someone. He mutters, I was thinking about finding a good marriage partner for her, which only serves to irritate Aruna further. Eric presses his advantage. And if you care so much about your sister, why would you take your family's money? After causing so much pain, don't you think that's a shameless thing to say? The dogs chime in. That's right, that's right. The weight of his actions finally hits Zorg. He bows his head in shame. I do feel really bad about that, and I know it's too late already, but I'm sorry, Aruna. Aruna's fury erupts. After all this time, the family tried to stop you, even the village chief talked to you and you didn't listen. Zorg tries to defend himself. She told me she was sick, that's why I needed the money, she swore she'd return it, even the soul appraisal was blue, why? Aruna can't believe her ears. So that damn woman got away, it was a scam after all. She yells across the field at her foolish brother. I told you several times that you were being deceived and you never listened. Zorg just repeats weakly. It was blue, that lady was certainly blue. Diaz, confused by the Oni magic, turns to Aruna. Aruna, is it possible for a person whose soul appraised as blue to lie? If she had bad intentions, wouldn't it be red? Aruna explains with a sigh, soul appraisal is just a type of magic after all. And as long as it's magic, there's also magic that can conceal or block it. It can be repelled with magic tools, she continues. If the other person has stronger magical power than you, the appraisal can be deceived. You have to consider all these factors before using it. If you're not careful, you'll end up like this fool. She glances at her brother with pity, and he was born with very little magic power to begin with. Diaz thinks of an example. From time to time you meet someone like Asa who has way more magical power and skill than I do, but she'd let you appraise her without any resistance. Aruna looks surprised. Asa. Dia smiles. Yeah, Asa was a surprisingly deep blue. Eric puts the pieces together. So, Asa can use magic. I didn't know. That means Big Brother got deceived by somebody that knows about Oni folk magic. Are there many people like that? Dia shrugs. I wonder. I have no idea what the expedition group is doing, but yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if there is someone who could nullify it. Aruna glares at her brother's back. That is why it's a type of magic that should be used carefully, but instead this guy, After the truth comes out, a heavy silence falls between the siblings. Zorg finally understands the evil lord was a complete misunderstanding, and now he has nothing left to say. Diaz decides to end the awkward standoff. We should eat dinner before the sun goes down. Aruna grumbles, how long is this guy going to keep bothering us? And with that, they begin to walk away. The group leaves, with Diaz taking one last look back. They leave Zorg sitting alone in the vast, empty grassland as the sun begins to set. But as they walk, Diaz stops. He can't bring himself to just leave him there. He turns back with a friendly smile. It's already this late, you should stay with us tonight. Zorg looks up, surprised, while Aruna is shocked. WHAA. Aruna and Zorg protest in unison. Leave me alone, I'm used to traveling at night, Zorg yells, while Aruna adds, that's right, you shouldn't be bothered by the likes of him. But Aruna's tough act cracks and she mutters under her breath, but the grasslands are dangerous at night. What if he encounters a monster? Aruna is having none of it. Even if we let him stay, where is he supposed to sleep? She demands, before flatly stating, I'm telling you right now, he is not staying in our yurt. Zorg retorts from off-panel, who wants to stay with you anyway? The dog folk cheerfully offer their place, but Diaz steps in with a more practical solution. Let's have him stay in Uncle Ben's yurt. It's newly built, so there's plenty of space. Aruna glares, clearly annoyed at the arrangement. Zorg looks away, equally frustrated by the whole situation. The tense night passes. A new day dawns over the grasslands. The next morning, Diaz decides to see Zorg off. He narrates maybe it was unnecessary, but when I woke up I had a bad feeling. He takes a deep breath of the crisp morning air. What nice weather, the air feels so refreshing. Seeing Zorg packing his things, Diaz wonders, maybe I was worrying too much. As Diaz approaches, Zorg immediately gets defensive. Damn it, why are you doing this? He whirls around, shouting, what do you want? Why don't you just leave me alone? But Diaz thinks to himself, as long as Zorg is Aruna's family, there's no way I could do that. He notices the bundles Zorg is carrying. Besides, even after everything that was said, Aruna seems to be worried about him. The 2 packages Zorg is carrying contain a brand new bow and a quiver of arrows, a parting gift from Aruna. She had tossed them to him, claiming, it's just a deficient prototype I was going to throw away anyway. But the truth is, the bow was perfectly crafted to fit Zorg's physique and carefully wrapped in soft Mia wool. She even embroidered his name, Zorg, onto the quiver. Zorg looks at the gift, a wave of emotion washing over him. The bonds of family are there, after all. Despite her harsh words, she still cares. Suddenly Zorg lashes out in frustration. Why did you have to be blue? He glares at Diaz. You were told you had no magic powers, right? That means you couldn't have faked the appraisal. That's so annoying. His anger subsides into genuine curiosity. You know, you were born without magic powers. Diaz looks out at the horizon, his axe resting on his shoulder. Yeah, I've been like this for as long as I can remember. Zorg stares at him, trying to understand. He asks quietly, have you ever felt miserable because of that? Diaz smiles faintly, a distant look in his eyes. When I was a child, I did have those kinds of thoughts. A memory surfaces of him as a sad little boy, unable to join in as the other children happily practiced their magic. I cried to my parents, Diaz admits, and took my anger out on them. But I was surrounded by kind parents and a very strict uncle. They helped me get over it to accept it, or maybe at some point it just made sense to me. Because I'm not smart, he continues, instead of envying someone else for something I can't do, I thought I'd just focus on what I can do little by little. So I started moving my body. Thanks to that I am who I am today. Zorg listens, the words hitting close to home. Diaz looks back at him. I see, to think having no magic powers could lead you to that. Zorg's own pain bursts forth. I have been looked down on no matter how hard I tried, I was made fun of, and even now I feel miserable. Diaz looks at him with newfound understanding. Zorg. The only ones who didn't look down on me, Zorg says, his back to Diaz, were Aruna and that woman. Diaz watches him, a silent empathy between them. Suddenly Zorg's head snaps up towards the sky. His eyes widen in pure shock. High in the clouds, several dark specks are rapidly approaching. Diaz spots them too. It's a wind dragon, and what the hell, there are 5 of them. What kind of joke is this? Even one is too much to handle. Zorg instantly shifts into survival mode. Hey you, whatever your name is, just go back to the village, there's something you need to protect there, right? But Diaz plants his feet, gripping his axe. And leave you alone, I can't do that. Zorg clicks his tongue in annoyance, quickly unwrapping the bow. Listen, first they'll go straight for the eyes and ears. After that they'll take your arms and legs, they just eat their prey after tormenting them. Because their bodies are so light they don't have much bite strength, they can't finish you in one strike. Diaz squints at the sky. Will they get close? I can only see a few black dots. Zorg snaps back, damn it, this always happens with people who don't use a bow. He draws the string, aiming at the sky. Take a good look, that's a wind dragon. The creatures descend with terrifying speed. They're revealed to be monstrous, giant dragonfly-like beasts swarming towards them. Diaz's eyes widen in horror. He shouts, a giant dragonfly. He glances at Zorg, who's struggling to draw the powerful bow. Damn it, it's no use. What the hell did Aruna use to make this thing? Suddenly Diaz remembers something crucial. Zorg, that bow is made of earth dragon materials, the arrows should be too, use those instead of the normal ones. Zorg is stunned, earth dragon materials, but how? With no time to waste he pushes the thought aside. Never mind, I'll ask later, if that's true then. He knocks one of the special, heavy-duty arrows. He pulls the string back with all his might. The lead dragon dives in for the attack. Zorg releases the arrow. The projectile slams into the beast's armored head with explosive force. The wind dragon plummets from the sky. Zorg roars in triumph, yes, I got one. Diaz watches, a flicker of hope in his eyes. But their celebration is cut short as the remaining 4 dragons swarm them, enraged. They begin circling at an impossible speed. Their movements become a blur of wings and claws. Zorg grits his teeth. They increase their speed, we took down one so now they're serious. One of the dragons breaks from the pack, charging straight for Diaz. Diaz stands his ground, readying his axe for the impact. He lets out a defiant roar. He swings his weapon in a wide, defensive arc. But the wind dragon is unbelievably fast, its speed increasing even more as it closes in. It zips past his defense, its sharp legs slashing a deep gash across Diaz's chest. Zorg watches in horror as his new ally is struck down. The battle erupts as Diaz takes a brutal slash from an unseen enemy. The attack tears clean through his shirt, leaving a nasty gash across his chest. Watching from the side, Zorg freezes in shock. The assailants are revealed, a swarm of vicious, insect-like wind dragons. Diaz opens his mouth, but it's not a cry of pain. He clutches his chest in absolute agony, screaming, "N-O-O-O, the clothes that A-R-U-N-A-M-A-D-E-E." Another wind dragon dives in for the kill. Diaz locks eyes with the incoming beast. Its mandibles open wide, ready to strike. Fueled by rage over his ruined outfit, Diaz clenches his fist. With a thunderous boom, he slams the dragon straight into the ground with a single punch. Zorg's face is a perfect picture of WTF. Diaz calmly faces the remaining swarm. My eyes have gotten used to their speed, he states. Is that all you've got? As one dragon twitches on the ground, Diaz retrieves his massive battle axe. He swings with incredible force, intercepting another attacker. The wind dragon is sent careening through the sky. Diaz sizes up his opponents. They're tough, but I can handle it. He then yells over his shoulder at Zorg, what are you standing around for? Fall back. Diaz easily dodges and weaves through the dragon's attacks. Sensing the danger, the remaining dragons pull back. They begin to circle from a safe distance, unwilling to engage him up close. Diaz watches them, confused. I wonder why they stopped attacking. If they'd kept that up, I would have been seriously hurt. Zorg deadpans, who knows, maybe even a dragonfly doesn't want to get close to an idiot who can punch them like that. Zorg continues, they had their guard down before, but now they know getting too close means getting killed in one hit, so they're keeping their distance. Diaz considers this. Then why not attack us with fire from up there? They're still a type of dragon, right? Zorg explains that wind dragons are specialized for flight, with skinny bodies that can't handle strong magic. Their fire breath is weak and only effective at point-blank range. Zorg adds, I've heard they like sucking human blood, they must be attracted to the smell of your wound. Diaz sighs, so they want to get close but they can't. In that case they should just leave. But Zorg gets serious. The reason doesn't matter, for Aruna's sake and the village's we cannot let them leave. Diaz agrees grimly. You're right, if those things attack the village the damage would be unpredictable. They're at a stalemate, but how do we counterattack? Diaz asks. If they don't come any closer there's nothing we can do, Zorg mutters, if only they'd lower their guard like before. A light bulb goes off in Diaz's head. Lower their guard, what if we were to throw away our weapons? Zorg looks at him like he's crazy. What are you thinking? Diaz hefts his massive axe. No, I should try it, I was thinking about Asterisk hitting them with this. Zorg is completely baffled. Are you saying you're going to attack them by throwing that? There's no way that giant axe is gonna reach that high. Diaz shrugs, it's worth a try, even if I miss they might think I'm disarmed and lower their guard. Zorg gives in. Fine, do what you want, just don't miss and hit me with that, okay? Diaz faces the circling dragons, axe in hand. Leave it to me. He begins to spin, building momentum. Faster and faster he goes, becoming a blur of motion. Zorg watches, his expression tense. Diaz spins like a human tornado, kicking up dust and wind. His face is a mask of pure concentration. With a final mighty roar, he unleashes the axe, sending it hurtling into the sky as Zorg watches in awe. The axe soars through the air, spinning like a deadly saw blade. It carves a path directly through the swarm, slicing multiple wind dragons in half. As Diaz lets out a victory cry, Zorg can only think, this idiot is amazing. He's utterly speechless at the insane tactic that actually worked. The axe lands with a thud in the distance. Diaz now stands completely unarmed. The surviving dragons see their opportunity. They dive towards him and Diaz roars, here they come. He braces himself for the onslaught. He meets the first dragon with a bone-shattering punch to the face. His eyes burn with the thrill of battle. He follows up with another brutal hook. With his bare hands, Diaz begins dismantling the remaining creatures. Zorg joins the fray, lining up a perfect shot with his bow. His arrow strikes a dragon dead on. Meanwhile, Diaz grabs another one out of the air. Zorg takes down another with a well-aimed shot. Diaz wrestles a dragon into a headlock, using its body as a shield. Just then, the largest dragon corners Zorg, its mouth glowing as it prepares a point-blank fire blast. In a split second, Diaz swings the dragon he's holding and smashes it into the attacker, ending the fight. Silence falls over the field. Zorg collapses, exhausted. I can't believe it. You'd be lucky to see one wind dragon in a year and we just fought 5. He tries to process the insane turn of events. What's going on? Then a slow smile spreads across his face as he realizes, yeah, that's right, I defeated a wind dragon. He drifts into a fantasy, imagining the glory. This is the kind of dragon hunt all Oni folk dream of. With this, Iruna and the village might finally accept me. He closes his eyes, savoring the heroic moment. But reality comes crashing back. No, that's wrong, isn't this somehow wrong? He remembers the sheer chaos of the fight. The dragon hunting I imagined wasn't like this. That idiotic way of hunting is bullshit. While Zorg has his crisis, Diaz is already cheerfully gathering the valuable dragon parts. Zorg kicks one of the dragon corpses in frustration. Diaz immediately stops him. Hey you idiot, be more careful. He continues, just how valuable do you think those are, leaving Zorg utterly bewildered. Zorg can only think to himself, this is Iruna's husband and the lord of this place. You must be kidding me. With the battle over, the two gather up the dragon bodies and their weapons to return to Iluk village. Zorg carries his prize, dreaming of impressing Iruna, while Diaz is still stressing about his ripped shirt. After the chaos of battle, Diaz's main concern isn't his wounds but his tattered clothes. He thinks to himself, on the other hand, in that fight my shirt and pants got all ripped. Iruna is going to yell at me again. Zorg watches him, a bead of sweat rolling down his temple, completely baffled by the Lord's priorities. As they walk back to the village hauling their kills, Zorg can't hold it in any longer. You're weird, Diaz, lost in his own thoughts, just replies, huh. Zorg elaborates, still in disbelief. That kingdom lord is getting all nervous just because his clothes got damaged. Is that how much you think of your wife, of Iruna? A gentle smile crosses Diaz's face. I was able to make it through because Iruna was by my side. It's all thanks to meeting her. On top of that, she's always taking care of the chores. I feel indebted to her every day. He pictures her carefully crafting the very clothes he's wearing. Even with my shirt and pants, I saw how much effort she put into making them. Zorg is stunned by the raw sincerity. Is that so? You are not very lord-like. He looks at the man beside him, seeing him in a new light. Your name was, Diaz, right? With a slight, almost imperceptible smile, Zorg gives his final verdict. Your name and everything about you is very weird to me. Diaz just accepts the strange compliment with a warm, knowing grin. As they approach the village, a familiar voice cuts through the air, calling out his name, Diaz. Iruna rushes out to meet them, her face etched with worry. What happened? What's with that wound? Show it to me. She inspects the gash on his chest. It doesn't look very deep, but we should disinfect it quickly. We have extra clothes you can change into, so don't worry about it. Zorg, desperate for her approval, steps forward. Iruna, I also defeated a dragon, all thanks to the bow and arrows you gave me, but Iruna's attention is solely on Diaz. She places a hand on Diaz's back, her voice filled with pride. If I consider the fact that you took down a wind dragon, the clothes are not important at all. Such manliness, as expected from my husband. She finally turns to Zorg, but her tone is all business. I see. I appreciate you carrying it all the way here. You defeated it together, so half of the dragon materials are yours. Take care carrying them home. Zorg's face falls, the praise he craved given to another. Iruna. Iruna's expression instantly hardens, her eyes flashing with ice. What, is there something else? Terrified, Zorg breaks into a cold sweat. He quickly backs down, defeated. No. The cartwheel turns, a silent transition as Zorg prepares to leave. Later, as Aruna tends to his wounds, Diaz gently brings up the subject. It wouldn't hurt for you to be a little bit nicer to Zorg. He wanted to demonstrate his manliness to you. Outside, the lonely sound of Zorg's rattling cart fades into the distance. Aruna's gaze is firm, her resolve unshakable. Currently, I'm a member of the Iluk village and Diaz's family. There is no one for Zorg to show his manliness to here. She continues, laying out the hard truth. If he really wants to show off his manliness, he should go straight to the Oni tribe, and if he wants someone to rely on instead of me, he should be looking for a suitable partner there. Her duty is clear in her mind. If he thinks about our family, rather than someone like me who has already left, I want him to think about our brothers, mostly Rufura, who is the heir to the family. Diaz listens, a complicated expression on his face. He thinks, coming straight here, what is he thinking? He reflects on the situation, watching Zorg depart. Even though it's not as strong and it's smaller than an earth dragon, a dragon is a dragon. As Aruna closes the door, Diaz pieces it together in his mind. The fact that Zorg was able to show his manliness should have made Aruna very happy. It seems 2.5 dragons each is very valuable. He concludes, and she's being kinder to me. It must be because of that. Aruna glances back, her expression softening slightly now that they're alone. That evening, the entire village erupts in celebration around a massive bonfire. Aruna, beaming with joy, calls out, Diaz, let's celebrate. She sings alongside Senai and Ahan, her voice carrying over the festivities. Even the Mia join in, dancing in a line to the rhythm. The village elders watch with warm, happy smiles. Diaz watches the scene unfold, a sense of peace washing over him. Today's celebration was brighter and livelier than ever, with Aruna at its center. I'm very happy that everyone is having fun. He looks at Aruna, truly seeing her radiant smile. And in that moment, he understands. More than celebrating the dragon's defeat, it's a celebration for Aruna's happiness. Later that night, the party is still going strong. Aruna suddenly stands up. Alrighty, Diaz asks, where are you going? To the toilet, she replies. Diaz decides to wait for her outside the latrine. He stands under the vast starry sky, enjoying the quiet moment. A faint murmuring sound catches his attention. He follows the sound and sees a strange sight. A lone Mia stands in the field, seemingly glowing under the moonlight. But something's wrong, the creature is dripping with sweat, looking incredibly stressed. Diaz is puzzled. Francis and Ethelbald should be at the party. Could it be a wild Mia? The Mia lets out a loud, agitated bleat. Diaz approaches cautiously, holding out a welcoming hand. I haven't seen you around. Are you lost, or did you come to live here? If that's the case, you are welcome too. The Mia just stomps its hoof, bleating nonsensically. Diaz sighs, I'm very sorry, but I still cannot understand the Mia language. Everyone is reunited in the plaza, so you should go there. The Mia's will visibly bristles with rage. Suddenly it shouts in perfect, articulate human speech, Arrghh, what an irritating man. Even if you don't understand the words, try to read in between the lines, would you? Diaz freezes, his brain short-circuiting. His mind explodes with the sheer impossibility of it. Oh my god, it talked. The talking Mia rummages through its own wool. It pulls out a small tied pouch, and unceremoniously throws it onto the grass at Diaz's feet. Diaz kneels down and picks it up, utterly bewildered. What is this? The Mia puffs out its chest, its demeanor now serious and official. It was an excellent second dragon slaying for a human, it proclaims. And thus, my lord ordered me to award you with these 3 Sanjivani leaves and seeds. We expect you to continue defeating the dragons that bring harm to my lord, and protect my children. Diaz's mind reels. Sanjivani, my lord, my children. The Mia continues its cryptic message. Thanks to your efforts, the day my lord's wounds heal is getting closer. I must say, you did pretty well. It issues a stern warning. Also, if you sell the Sanjivani or try to profit from it and misuse it, if you harbor those kinds of evil thoughts, the leaves and seeds will quickly wither, so be very careful. Diaz stares at the mysterious pouch in his hand. Just then, Aruna finds him looking pale and unsteady. Diaz, are you okay? You were taking too long. Did you hurt your stomach? Diaz clutches his head, feeling faint. I'm feeling dizzy all of a sudden. He tries to explain the impossible. Aruna, no, there was a talking Mia here. He looks back, but the field is empty. The creature is gone. Aruna places a gentle hand on his back, concerned. You must be tired. You defeated a wind dragon and also got wounded. Let's go get some rest. As they walk away, Diaz is lost in thought. Was that a dream or an illusion? He clutches the pouch, the solid weight in his hand confirming it was real. No. He looks out at the dark field, his world turned upside down. But what in the world? If it's a Mia, it shouldn't be a bad guy. Far away, in a grand Gothic hall within the Empire, an old man sits in the shadows, brooding. It seems, things really don't go as expected. He addresses a council of grim-faced officials. We shall find a way to restore our empire. No matter how many times we discuss it, we can't find a single clue as to how. A younger man leans forward, a sinister idea forming. I have a suggestion. His words hang in the air, sealing Diaz's fate. Isn't that one way, harming that Diaz? In the heart of the empire, a shadowy council discusses their next move. One councilman is taken aback by a new proposal. Harming Diaz is a bold suggestion, Mr. Chief of Counterintelligence. May I ask the reason? The chief smirks, explaining. Our informants in the San Jarif kingdom are getting noisy. It seems Prince Meiza's faction is desperately asking for aid. They were beaten by Diaz and now they want revenge. He leans back, a cold chuckle escaping his lips. I thought, why not use them to take care of Diaz for us? We can just get rid of them after. After all, he says, looking around the table, everyone here has had trouble with Diaz, haven't they? If they make too much noise, our connection will be revealed, so we just clean up the mess. Meanwhile, far from the Empire's schemes, Aruna looks towards their yurt with concern. The Wind Dragons were defeated, however the victory came at a cost. Inside, she tends to a bandaged Diaz who looks unusually weary. Diaz, how are you feeling? She asks gently. He examines a small, cracked object in his hand. I don't know how to explain it, but ever since the fight with the Wind Dragons my body feels weird, like I have no energy. Aruna considers his words. You might just be tired, you should rest for today. But Diaz looks ready to get up and work. Thank you, then I will at least clean the yurt. Aruna puts her foot down. I'm telling you to rest. A clever idea strikes her. Oh boy, if you stay here you'll just keep moving, huh? What about we go out somewhere? Back in the political courts, a man scoffs at a female commander. Oh dear, you think I would lend you a hand in hurting Master Diaz? Another man looks at her, confused. Oh, Commander, what you're saying is completely unexpected. Weren't Diaz and your father enemies of war? The scene splits, showing two parallel stories unfolding at once. The commander looks back, her expression firm. Diaz and my father were rivals indeed, but at the same time, Diaz is our benefactor. This panel is a meta instruction for manga readers, and will be skipped in the narrative. Following Aruna's suggestion, the entire village family heads out for a day of rest, with Senai and Ahan leading the way, cheering with excitement. In the political chamber, the commander begins her story. Because of the strategies presented to His Majesty, my father was forced to use many underhanded tactics, unworthy of a warrior. He was agonized by this, to the point he was considering taking his own life when the war ended. And the one who saved my father was Master Diaz. A flashback shows Diaz on the battlefield. The commander narrates, he not only saw through our plans and faced us directly, but he told my father that such tactics are unnecessary for a warrior, so he stepped into every single trap. The villagers arrive at a stunning, wide-open landscape with a massive lake. It's a lake, Senai and Ahan shout, so cool, so cool. As Diaz steps into the water, he explains, this place gets influenced by the weather from the mountain top. It's not a suitable place to live, but it's nice to visit once in a while. The commander's flashback intensifies. He activated all of the traps, not leaving a single one behind, and broke through them with such grace. And so, when Diaz finally reached my father, he confronted him in a fair fight, giving my father an honorable death as a warrior. She closes her eyes, lost in the memory. The satisfied look on my father's face in his last moments, and Master Diaz's face when he received my father's battle axe, those are unforgettable moments to me. At the lake the mood is much lighter. Klaus smiles, checking in on his lord. Are you all right, Diaz-sama? While another villager yelps at the cold water. The whole community, including their animals, has come out to enjoy the day. Diaz smiles warmly. Aruna went to all the trouble to set up a day off for me, so I'll enjoy myself today. Aruna calls out to the kids, don't go any deeper than your waist height. In another meeting hall, Prince Richard's faction discusses the news. One member is skeptical. Did he really activate the traps on purpose? Richard speaks with conviction. The feeling I have for that man is only gratitude. Using revenge as an excuse to harm him is out of the question. His strategist adds, the informants are from the Meiza faction, right? If they were beaten up by Master Diaz, that just means they're a bunch of jerks. Why not just get rid of them? They review the current political situation, assessing the threats to Prince Richard's claim to the throne. The inactive Princess Helena, the irrelevant Meiza faction, the missing Princess Diane, and the distant Princess Isabel. The commander from before gives her diplomatic opinion. Well, to be honest, I would just say do as you wish. Ignoring the world of politics, Senai, Ahan, and the puppies gleefully shed their clothes and make a mad dash for the lake. They splash into the cool water, their laughter echoing across the shore. Even the smaller creatures of the village find their own way to enjoy the outing. One cleverly uses a piece of driftwood as a personal raft. Meanwhile, in Prince Meiza's faction, tensions are high. In fact, if the whole Meiza faction were to be wiped out, things would be easier for us, one man suggests. Another retorts, don't be ridiculous, we can't mess with the royal family. The argument continues, revealing the deep fractures and incompetence within their ranks. Walking through a stone corridor, one of Meiza's aides complains, damn it, you can't even get a small budget approved without a meeting, it's so difficult to make a profit. Another tries to be optimistic, well, we did secure a few things. With this, the Meiza faction can't complain for a while. An older advisor grumbles, Mesa should only be concerned with winning the throne, but he just keeps doing unnecessary things. At the lake, life is simple. A villager prepares food, watched closely by a curious pup. Klaus and Cannies sit by the water's edge, patiently fishing. Diaz watches over them all, a peaceful expression on his face. Even the fluffy Mia graze contentedly by the shore. In a dark room, Mesa's aide continues his scheming. During the meeting, you said assassinating a royal was impossible, but you're already considering its necessity. Well, let's just see how things go first. Prince Mesa himself kneels before a paltry sum of gold. They finally sent me money, but it's only this much. Damn empire, ungrateful bastards. His aide watches from the shadows. Besides, even if we don't do anything, someone from the royal side might do the dirty work for us. For now, we wait and see. Mesa's face twists with rage. First, Kazdex, that bastard came to the capital and had the nerve not to greet me. I will not forgive him. Blissfully unaware of the plots against her husband, Aruna floats peacefully in the lake, soaking in the sun. Back in his grand hall, Prince Richard concludes his own meeting. And those are the movements we've heard of from the Empire and the Mesa faction. Niles, I'm counting on you. His subordinate is shocked. Prince Richard, you're aware of the Empire's movements. More importantly, Prince Mesa has connections with the Empire. That's a serious problem. Richard remains calm and collected. If they did as they pleased without us knowing, that would be a problem. But since we are aware of their movements, it's not a big issue. If Mesa has his attention on the west instead of on us, then let's just keep it that way. A cunning smile plays on his lips. Let's just let him waste the Empire's money while he proceeds westward, with no major failures, and no success either. In the water, the girls are having a blast. Ahan proudly shows off a makeshift horn she made from mud and leaves. I made it, Aruna's horn, Senai is amazed. Wow, it looks the same. Even the small, glasses-wearing creature is relaxing, thinking, just floating in the cold water feels good. Elsewhere, a man named Eldon looks utterly exhausted after finishing a mountain of work. From now on, keep an eye on Mesa, interfere or help them if necessary. Oh, this is going to be hard work. The sheer volume of paperwork he just completed was staggering. But with a final stamp, Eldon sighs in relief. I'm finally done. The day at the lake reaches a fun climax as Klaus feels a massive tug on his fishing line. I got it, this one is huge. Cannies cheers him on. Klaus, do your best, while Diaz watches with a tired but amused look. Back at the lake, Diaz sits with his fishing rod, but something feels off. Meanwhile in the capital, a pair of feet tremble uncontrollably. It's Eldon. Despite his obvious exhaustion, he's made a decision. We will head down to Diaz Dono's place early tomorrow morning, he declares. Please make the necessary preparations. His aide is deeply concerned. Eldon-sama, wouldn't it be better to take it easy? You should rest for at least a few days. But Eldon's body gives out, and he collapses onto the sofa, sighing in exhaustion. At the same time, Diaz is trying to teach a very frustrated Klaus how to fish. Haha, you need to calm down. Is fishing too hard for this land's lord? He patiently explains, you're lifting the rod too early. When you feel a twitch, that means the fish is coming. Then you lift it, got it? Klaus takes this advice to heart, vibrating with so much intensity it looks like he's about to explode. He yanks the rod up, catching nothing but air. From off-screen, a voice chirps, you are stupid, aren't you? Back in his study, Eldon pushes himself up, explaining his urgency. I need to meet Diaz Dono as soon as possible. I have to tell him what His Majesty said about the tax exemption and about my new family name and peerage. His aide laments, that's why you spent so many days buried in paperwork. You should be praised for all your hard work, not pushing yourself like this. Eldon looks out towards the horizon, a faint smile on his face. And also, I personally cannot resist the desire to check out Diaz Dono's village. His mind is made up, so I will be going to his village as soon as possible. While the political world turns, life at the lake is peaceful. Aruna, Senai and Ahan relax in the cool water, enjoying their day off. Eldon's aide quietly closes the door, his face etched with worry for his master. He leans against the wall, feeling utterly powerless. I can't believe how useless I am. I can't do anything besides watch as my master suffers. Looking out the window, he prays. There is a legend of a plant called San Giovanni in God's mountain able to cure all illnesses. If only we could get some. God, why don't you give it to Eldon-sama? The peaceful day continues as Aruna calls out from the shore, everyone, come over, we're having lunch. She's prepared a meal for the group. As they gather, the girls ask about the fishing results. Did you get one? Was Diaz able to get any fish? Klaus just gives an awkward smile. The girls munch on some food, looking at it curiously. These aren't leaves, are those leaves? In another part of the land, at the Oni village. Zorg sits alone inside a yurt, waiting. He's been summoned by Chief Maru, who looks weary. I'm already depressed enough, so please spare me from any lectures. Zorg wonders, why was I called by the chief? Maru looks at him with a critical eye. Who would have thought you'd beat 3 wind dragons? A lot has happened with you, so I can't compliment you much, but I must admit you did a good job. Back at the lakeside picnic, Diaz is eating some seeds. The girls notice, "Did you get these from Maru?" They add with concern, "Diaz is so strong, it's hard to notice when something's wrong compared to normal people. From now on, if something feels odd, let me know, okay?" Diaz looks down, touched by their worry. Okay, I'm sorry." He looks up a little flustered. "Hey, what's with everyone? No, I got these seeds myself, but..." Meanwhile, Chief Maru presents Zorg with a ceremonial dagger. "This is the mark of a chief candidate." Zorg is floored. "Me, am I a chief candidate?" Maru explains, "If it wasn't for that money scandal, I would have made you chief right away. But too many things happened, so you're just a candidate for now. As you can see from the number of rings, you are the third candidate." Zorg can only stare in disbelief. At the lake, Aruna gently chides Diaz for apologizing. "We are a family, husband and wife, so don't apologize." Her words sink in. Diaz closes his eyes, a warm smile spreading across his face. "You are right, thank you, Aruna." Maru continues his counsel to Zorg. "We also have a dragon slayer on our side. Whether you use him or treat him as an equal doesn't matter. You're a blood relative of Aruna and you've been doing well in hunting. If you gain the right awareness and experience, you wouldn't make a bad chief." Maru lays out the plan. "For now, quit your expedition job, you'll work under me and learn the chief's duties. And regarding marriage, I'll find a suitable partner for you." Zorg is completely overwhelmed by the chief's forceful planning. Back at the lake, Aimer watches the interaction between Diaz and Aruna with a knowing smile. The whole village seems to be in good spirits. Even the Mia are contentedly munching away. Senai and Ahan happily eat their bread, enjoying the simple moment. Maru's presence is immense, his words carrying the weight of a true leader. Zorg clenches his fist, a fire ignited within him. So this is how a chief should act. As the sun begins to set, the group packs up. "The sun is setting, we should head back to the village. It was so much fun." On the walk home, Aruna turns to Diaz. "How was it, Diaz? Were you able to rest?" He smiles contentedly. "Yes, it's been a while since I was able to relax like this, thank you." Aruna beams, happy to see him feeling better. Diaz adds, "Well, starting from tomorrow I have to do my best." But suddenly he stops in his tracks, his body swaying. His strength vanishes in an instant. "What's this? I have no strength." Aruna turns, sensing something is wrong. "Diaz." Without another word, Diaz collapses face first into the grass. Aruna screams his name in terror. The entire group rushes to his side, shouting his name as he lies unconscious. And as the hero falls, a status report on the fiefdom reveals a shocking truth under new facilities: the mysterious medicinal plant, Sanjivani. Aruna and the girls watch in horror as Diaz suddenly collapses. "Diaz," she screams. Diaz's eyes flutter open. He's in a yurt, surrounded by the worried faces of villagers and their dogs. "Thank God you're awake." Weak and disoriented, Diaz can only manage a whisper. "Aruna, what happened to me?" As Aruna would later explain, on their way back from the lake, Diaz had suddenly collapsed, struck down by a raging fever that lasted the entire night. The cause was the gash he'd received fighting the wind dragons. It seemed the creature's wing was laced with some kind of potent poison, likely from a monster or plant it had consumed. A normal person would have succumbed instantly, but Diaz's immense strength meant the poison took its time to ravage his body. As Diaz lies there, sweating and weak, Aruna watches over him, tending to his fever. Her mind races with a terrifying thought: if this fever doesn't break, his life is in danger, this won't heal easily. Despite his condition, Diaz forces a weak smile. "Everyone, looks like I'll be in your care for a while, thank you." Aruna, Senai and Ahan can only look on, their faces etched with worry for the man they care for so deeply. Overwhelmed with guilt, Aruna heads to the village well. Her frustration boils over as she slams her fist into the water. "It's my fault," she whispers. "I didn't realize how bad his condition was. I made him go outside." But Aimer places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Please don't say that. If he hadn't been with us, he would have collapsed alone while working. We found him quickly because of you." "Leave the rest to us," Aimer insists gently. "Go get some rest. You've been up all night taking care of him. You'll collapse too if you're not careful." Back in the yurt, the tense vigil continues. The air is heavy with concern for their leader. Lying in his sickbed, feverish and weak, Diaz's thoughts drift to Aruna. As the hours pass, the mood in the village remains somber. Suddenly, Senai and Ahan appear at his bedside, holding out a large bowl. "It's medicine," they say in unison. "Drink some medicine." Diaz looks at them, his body too weak to even consider it. "Senai, Ahan, I don't think I can even swallow water right now, but I can't worry them." He forces himself to sit up. "Thank you, I'll drink it." He hesitantly takes the bowl, steeling himself for the foul taste. He brings it to his lips and takes a gulp. But as the liquid passes his lips, his eyes widen in surprise. It tastes good. Normal medicine is bitter and foul, but this is sweet and refreshing. "This is amazing. What are the ingredients?" he thinks. "It's definitely not Aruna's recipe." The girls cheer. "We used the leaves that you brought, Diaz. We used one of the three and planted the seed." Diaz is stunned. Huh, the bag with the leaves is gone. How did they know it was medicine, and why does it taste so good? What are these leaves? Suddenly, a powerful wave of drowsiness hits him. He fights to keep his eyes open, but it's no use. Thank you, the medicine is taking effect, he murmurs, trying to reassure them before he passes out. No good, I'm losing consciousness. The girls smile softly. Okay, sleep well, Diaz. And with that, Diaz falls into a deep, healing sleep. Time passes as the mysterious medicine does its work. Sometime later, a voice cuts through the darkness calling his name. Hey, can you hear me, Diaz? Diaz jolts awake, sitting bolt upright in bed. Aruna is by his side, her eyes wide with disbelief. What happened, Diaz? Your high fever, it's completely gone. He touches his forehead, confused. He looks at his hands, his body, the fever, the nausea, it's all vanished. Not only that, I feel better than before. What is this? Aruna pulls back her braid to get a better look at his wound. The wound itself isn't closed yet, she observes, but it looks like it's going to scar over and heal cleanly now. Tears of relief well up in her eyes. I'm so glad, we were worried to death. Diaz is just as stunned by his miraculous recovery. He thinks this isn't just because of my strong constitution. Of course not. I've had infected wounds on the battlefield before, but I've never healed this fast, he tells Aruna. Aruna's expression turns serious, her eyes narrowing. Diaz, do you have any idea what could have caused this? Did you, for example, pick up some random medicinal herbs and eat them? His eyes light up with realization. Ah, now that you mention it, Senai and Ahan gave me some medicine. Aruna leans in, alarmed. What did Senai and Ahan give you? Before he can answer, a villager bursts into the yurt. Excuse me, I have an announcement. The Lord of Fanatxt is on his way to Iluk village. The villager sees Diaz on his feet, his jaw dropping. Diaz-sama, is it okay for you to be up? The man's shock turns to elation as he runs out, screaming the good news. Diaz-sama is healed. Though Aruna is still concerned, Diaz feels indebted to Lord Eldon and insists on welcoming him personally. If you feel unwell, please let me know, Aruna says, still worried. I know, thank you, he replies, giving her a reassuring smile. The heavy thud of hooves and carriage wheels announces their arrival. A grand procession is approaching the village. A magnificent carriage pulls to a stop and Lord Eldon emerges, waving apologetically. Diaz Dono, I'm so sorry for the delay, so many things happened. Diaz smiles warmly. Eldon, it's been a while. As Eldon rushes to greet them, he continues his apologies. Grant and the others were busy, so I couldn't contact you in advance. Diaz simply replies, Eldon and his people are always welcome. Eldon wipes his brow, sighing, I'm happy to hear that. To be honest, my mother caused a huge commotion, insisting she come along. Diaz chuckles to himself, finding it rare and amusing to see the composed Lord Eldon complain about his family troubles. Getting straight to the point, Diaz asks, so, what brings you here on official business? Eldon's tone becomes serious. Before we get to that, I have a few favors. First, may we stay in your village for a few days? This isn't a matter we can discuss lightly. He quickly adds, we've brought our own supplies and can set up our own shelter, so we won't be a burden. Diaz laughs heartily. What are you saying? Of course you can stay as long as you like, and do as you please regarding shelter. Eldon's eyes gleam, and one more thing, my most important request. Diaz leans in, intrigued. With a dramatic leap, Eldon shouts, I want to have a tour of Diaz Dono's village. The two men lock into a moment of intense, passionate agreement. Their energy is almost overwhelming. Diaz roars with approval, of course you can. Eldon is moved to tears by his hospitality, while Aruna just sighs, please talk like normal people. Eldon was so eager that they headed out immediately to begin the tour. As Aruna watches them, she notes that they seem to be back to normal. Diaz decides to show Eldon the fields first. They arrive at the edge of the farmland. Eldon stops dead in his tracks, utterly bewildered. Diaz Dono, he stammers, what happened to this field? Diaz admits, honestly, we have no idea why it sprouts in a perfect circle. We gave up trying to figure it out. We just accepted it for the strange miracle it is, he concludes with a shrug. Shaking his head in disbelief, Eldon follows Diaz as they continue the tour, heading towards the stables. Next they visit the livestock pens. Eldon approaches a large, fluffy cow which greets him with a low moo. He gently pets the creature's head, a soft smile on his face. As they continue the tour, Diaz gestures around them with pride. They arrive at the newly built stables, where the horses are kept. I see, Diaz says, pleased. I'm glad to see everyone is doing great. He continues his inspection, noting, they look good and have a healthy coat. They're well fed and getting bigger. They look very happy to me. As the group walks on, a particular pure white horse in one of the stalls catches Eldon's eye. Eldon freezes, his eyes widening in complete shock. His mind flashes back to a memory. That looks, could it be a royal horse? Why is it here? Diaz notices his friend's strange reaction. What's wrong, Eldon? But Eldon is lost in thought, realizing, but I can't report it after all this time. He breaks out in a cold sweat, his mind racing. Snapping out of it, Eldon waves his hands dismissively. It's nothing, I'll pretend I saw nothing. Trying to move on, Diaz leads the tour to another part of the village. He points to a small, fenced-off plot of land. Oh, what about that field? Aruna lets out a small sigh. Diaz explains, Senai and Ahan are taking care of that one. He looks at the thriving but mysterious garden, marked with a handmade sign. It was tiny in the beginning, but it's grown a lot. To be honest, I have no idea what they're cultivating. He smiles, adding, all the fields are growing well, so we're letting them do as they please. Just then, a familiar voice calls out, ah, it's Eldon-sama. Suddenly Eldon is swarmed by the village's dogs, all excitedly greeting him. The former slaves he helped rescue gather around, their faces beaming with joy. We have fun every day, they cheer. Thank you so much, Eldon-sama, we're so glad we came to Iluk village. Eldon looks on, deeply moved. One of the men runs up, Eldon-sama, we finished preparing our shelter. But in that moment, Diaz suddenly stumbles, a wave of dizziness hitting him. Aruna whirls around, her face etched with panic. Diaz. She rushes to his side, checking his forehead and pulse. You have no fever and your heartbeat is stable, you just lost your balance. Diaz steadies himself. Thank you, Aruna, I'm sorry I worried you. He drops to one knee, trying to catch his breath. Eldon looks on, his face pale with worry for his friend. Aruna watches Diaz closely, still concerned despite his stable vitals. Seeing Eldon's distress, Senai and Ahan approach him. They offer him a bowl of a warm, fragrant drink. Eldon accepts the bowl from the two small girls. Meanwhile, Diaz and Aruna realize what's happening and rush to intervene. But it's too late, Eldon takes a large gulp. His eyes widen in surprise. Oh, how tasty, it feels like a concentration of all the good parts of black tea. This is the first time I've tasted something like this. A warm calm washes over him. I feel better now, he says with a smile, thank you. Senai and Ahan beam, happy to have helped. Diaz finally catches up, looking frantic. I'll wait, you two. He turns to Eldon, flustered. Eldon, I apologize, it seems those two had you drink something weird. It's a medicine made from some Sanjivani leaves I received. I also drank it, so I'm sure it isn't poisonous, but... Eldon just chuckles, tapping his nose. My nose is very special, I can tell if there is poison by just smelling it. I drank it knowing it was harmless, so please don't worry. His attendant, Kamalatz, nods sagely. This is Eldon-sama we are talking about. He has detected poison several times, he shouldn't be mistaken. Eldon adds, also, Senai-sama and Ahan-sama were very concerned about my health. I regard this as an act of kindness from them, he finishes, looking at Diaz with gratitude. He then explains, Sanjivani is a medicinal herb that has existed since the time of gods. If that was the real thing, it would be amazing, but well, that's impossible. Diaz listens intently as Eldon concludes. I assume that it's a regular herb which simply borrowed the name. Diaz's mind recalls the legends. Sanjivani, an almighty panacea said to grow on the mountain where gods reside, bestowed upon mortals in their time of need. A famous legend tells of the Saint Dia begging the gods for the medicine to cure the founding king of a deadly epidemic. But as Diaz narrates, it seems that until now nothing like it has been found, so the tale has been passed down like a legend or a fairy tale. Kamalatz looks on thoughtfully. People always long for the impossible. To me, that impossibility is Sanjivani. He continues, the person who gave this medicine to Diaz Dono might have the same longing, so he used its name.